On a sunny May morning, a team of resolute Tennesseans gathered to tackle something big. Something even bigger than Nintendo.
I wouldn't go that far.
Something more important than summer vacation. They'd been invited to a training camp by All-Pro quarterback Peyton Manning to take on
nutrition!
Meat, breads, fruits, vegetables, protein!
Right, Katie. Give me an O.
O!
Give me a K.
K!
Give me an R.
R!
Give me an A.
A!
Now what's that spell?
O-K-R-A! Okra!
All right, now what's it got?
Calcium, potassium, phosphorus.
What's it taste like?
Ooh.
Oh, come on. I love okra.
Welcome to Peyton Manning's training camp on Nutrition Odyssey. Let's meet the players. At 5'1" from Brentwood, Alex. At 4'5" from Crockett, Joy. At 5'5" from Woodland, Chris. At 5'6" from Whole Heart, Chelsea. At 5'1" from Woodland, Jarrett. At 5'0" from Christ Presbyterian, Lauren. At 4'10" from Oakview, Katie. And at 6'4", 225 pounds from Indianapolis, at quarterback, Peyton Manning. And oh yes, from the announce booth high above the camp, it's me, your colorful commentator. At the beginning of camp, Peyton diagrammed the basic play they could use throughout their lives. As Peyton explained,
our bodies work best with a diet that starts with foods from the bread group, plus good fresh produce, fruits, beef, poultry, fish, dry beans, eggs, or nuts, milk, yogurt, and cheese, and of course,
Sweets.
And just a little. Got it?
Got it.
Pretty good. Actually, there are no bad foods.
Peyton explained to the campers that there are no bad foods.
Thanks. It's just that
Just that foods from the pyramid should be in balance with each other. If you eat lots of sweets but no fruits or vegetables, for example, your body won't get all the nutrients it needs.
Think of it like football. If you all lined up in the backfield, there'd be nobody to block. Or, if you were all on the line, who would throw and catch the ball? Okay, team on three. 1, 2, 3, team!
The example was not lost on the young campers. It takes a whole team of foods, that is, to make for a healthy diet.
Think of it like this. Here's you, here's the fuel. When you put in a good balance of fuel,
you can buzz around the track all day.
Or maybe you prefer fuel that's mostly from just one or two of the major food groups.
The wrong mix of fuel won't power anything very long. At first, the audience was a little skeptical.
You mean what I eat could affect how I perform?
Can we show them the footage?
Sure thing, Peyton.
Here's what happens when I eat a healthy diet every day that includes all the major food groups. Haven't got it, do we?
Now let's show them the other footage.
Do we have to?
I'm afraid we do.
Okay. Here's what would happen if I went for 2 months eating only sweets and starches.
You mean you really couldn't hit the broad side of a barn?
Well, it wasn't quite that bad. The point is that the fuel you put in makes a big difference in how well you run.
How can food be fuel?
Excellent question. I think it's time for a
research project. As Peyton understood, the best way for the team to learn how different foods provide the fuel or quick energy their bodies need was to let them investigate for themselves.
Our body's best sources for energy are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins.
And the main sources for carbohydrates are bread, cereal, rice, and pasta.
Our bodies use calcium to build bones and teeth.
Calcium is found mainly in milk, cheese, and yogurt.
Protein helps our bodies grow, build muscles, and make new cells.
You get protein from beef, poultry, fish, eggs, and nuts,
Beef is a complete source of protein and also gives us iron.
which helps the body carry oxygen from the lungs.
Iron also helps you maintain your energy level.
Teenagers and women are most at risk for not having enough iron.
Your body needs zinc to help it use other nutrients and remove carbon dioxide.
The best sources of zinc are meats and peanuts.
Okay, what does it take to be a great quarterback?
A cannon for an arm.
4.6 on the 40-yard dash or better.
Good receivers. To be smart?
All right.
Yes, as the team learned, foods not only affect the way your body performs physically or on the athletic field, they can also affect how you perform in the classroom.
A healthy, balanced diet favorably impacts your cognitive development.
Do what?
You know, makes your brain work better.
How?
Yes, Peyton?
Research project. All right, okay, just kidding.
After a strenuous morning workout, Peyton challenged the team with some words of encouragement.
Wake up, everybody. Wake up, wake up. Great practice, good job. You were just working on one of the most important aspects of a healthy lifestyle.
Sleeping?
Correct.
Thank you. So, who can tell me why sleep is so important?
It has iron and calcium.
Wrong.
Because it keeps people from being sleepy?
Yes! The campers listened intently. I said intently. As Peyton explained why your body works best if you get at least 8 hours of sleep each night. To prove his point, Peyton had secretly taped the campers when they took their big midterm test. Chelsea, who had 8 hours of sleep the night before, performed rather well. Now, here's Chris, who stayed up half the night before his test.
Okay, who can tell me what sedentary means?
Is it a place where people are buried?
I don't think so.
Is it a type of rock?
That's sedimentary.
Is it when you're like a couch potato?
Is it a score?
Let's check the replay.
Is it when you're like a couch potato?
Correct.
Yes.
As Peyton explained,
Let me explain. When you sit around all the time and don't get much exercise, you turn into a couch potato.
Not really.
Really,
Not really.
really. Just watch.
yes, just watch as this young man turns into a couch potato.
See? Told you.
Over the course of training camp, Peyton helped the team appreciate the value of daily exercise.
Peyton, isn't there some other way than this to keep from being sedimentary?
You mean sedentary.
What he said.
Well, you could do this, or this, or this, or this. But the most important part is to get at least an hour of activity in every day. Okay. We haven't talked about one of the most important things you need. Anyone know what that is?
Flossing after meals?
Well, that is important, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Potato chips?
No,
Good posture?
no.
Water?
Right. You need,
Water is the single most important nutrient for the body. You need water so your body can deliver oxygen and nutrients to your muscles. You should drink 8 to 10 glasses of water every day.
wow. How did you know that?
I went to Steve McNair's camp last year.
Okay, I want each of you to go out long do some shopping, and put together a balanced meal that includes all the groups from the food pyramid. On 2. Ready, break! Meats, grains, fruits, vegetables, dairy products.
Sweets.
Sweets. Hut 1, hut 2.
And so the team from Tennessee ventured far and wide, hither and yon, over hill and dale, in town and country. The campers were in pursuit of meats, vegetables, fruits, grains, dairy products, and sweets. And oh my, what would Peyton think about a basket full of sweets? That's right, Chris, just a little. Meanwhile, at the dairy case, Alex makes a wise choice. After traveling here and there, near and far, the campers return to begin preparing their meal.
Okay, team, let's see what you got.
Much to Peyton's surprise, I mean, just as Peyton expected, everything was all there. Grains, fruit, vegetables, meats, dairy products, and sweets.
Nice work, everybody. Let's go through it again.
Breads? Check. Vegetables? Check. Fruits? Check. Meats? Check. Dairy? Check. Sweets? Check. And so it was that through drills and repetition, the team learned that good nutrition isn't just a sometime thing, but a lifetime thing. And in the end, they didn't forget to pour out their admiration for their coach.
Okay.
I used to be the coach in New Orleans.
Are you ready to play? It's not just about scoring touchdowns. It's about training and especially eating right. Meat, dairy, vegetables, fruit, grains. Hey, food fuels performance.
One should fog towards the area where
It's yours?
No, I'm.
Mother said she found it in your closet.
I don't know. One of the guys must.
Must have what?
Look, Dad, it's not
Where
mine.
did you get it?
Dad,
Answer me. Who taught you how to do this stuff?
You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
Parents who use drugs have children who use drugs.
Jaw droppers, yeah!
Hi, I'm Larry Anderson, and welcome to Out of Thin Air. The videotape that you're about to view is a very special collection of magic tricks that I've compiled that are really killer little miracles that you can perform anywhere, anytime. It's really out of thin air means that it's impromptu, spur-of-the-moment type tricks. When someone says, hey, you know how to do magic tricks, show me something. You don't have to be set up, you don't have to be ready. You can use dollar bills, coins, handkerchiefs, spoons, rubber bands. There's all kinds of great tricks here with ordinary objects that you find in everyday life. There's all kinds of great things here. I hope you enjoy watching. Just a word about the format of this tape before you dive in. Some of the tricks on the tape are designed to be done seated at a table, and some are designed to be done standing up, and some of them are just great gags that you can perform anywhere and really get a lot of mileage out of. Now, the way that the tape is laid out is that you will see me perform each and every one of the tricks before a live audience, so you can really get a feel for how the trick is to be presented. And then immediately following that is the full explanation with all the mechanics and all the nuances of how to pull it off. And I want you to go back and forth between the two until you really get a whole feel for not only the secret part, but the way it should look when they're watching it, and how to keep those separate, okay? And then finally, use my presentation as a model, but slowly as you're starting to get it, add your own personality, your own touches to it, because it really should come from you and not just be a carbon copy of me. And also, make sure that you practice each one of these tricks before you perform them. I mean, really, anything you do, no matter how simple, the first time you do it, you might fluff up. There's a learning process, kind of a curve, you know, a bell curve. The first time you do it, maybe not so good. Second time, hey, I figured it out. Now I know how to fix that. And the third time, you're flying, and you'll really start getting some results. So don't sell these tricks short, okay? Give them a chance to, you know, sort of develop as you go along. And also, practice in front of a mirror. It can help you when those critical angles are there. Some of the tricks have angles that are kind of crucial. I help you and tell you which ones those are, and I want you to check yourself out in the mirror so you know what the audience is seeing. Also, there's a magician's rule, don't repeat the trick. There's a reason for that. They know the surprise. Once they know the surprise ending, you're leading them down the wrong path, and boom, there's a surprise. If you do it again, they know what to watch for, and you're busted. And also, there's a lot of tricks on this tape. As you watch it, don't get overwhelmed and say, oh, how am I going to absorb all that information and put the tape away? No, watch it from beginning to end and enjoy the tricks, and then pick out a couple that you like and learn those really well. All right, once you got two of them, then you can go on and pick up another one. I mean, they'll still be on this tape for years to come. All right, just learn a couple well. Some of the tricks on the surface, when you start to watch the explanation, you'll say, oh, that's complicated. Believe me, it's not complicated. I'm just explaining it in great detail so you really get it. Don't think they're too complicated, and then also get overwhelmed and put them aside. Try out each one, okay? And finally, don't reveal the secret. It's tempting. People are going to say, tell me how you did it. But don't, because people really don't want to know. They like to be astonished and amazed. So keep the secret to yourself and keep your audience entertained. So go out and have a lot of fun with these, and I hope you enjoy this Jaw Droppers videotape. Well, what I'm about to show you may seem a little odd because it's not a trick. And that may seem weird to start out not showing a trick in a tape about tricks. But what I will show you is the most important single thing you'll learn on this piece of tape, or on this videotape rather, and that is the basis for many great tricks. It's the fundamental secret to many tricks. It's not a trick in and of itself, although some people mistakenly might present it as a trick. You'll see when I demonstrate it right here exactly what it is, and then I'll explain why in and of itself, it's not a trick. Watch the coin. Place it in this hand, and with a simple snap of the fingers, it's gone. Now that seemed like a trick. Well, it was a trick, but it basically was using a move, and a move is simply a little bit of sleight of hand. It's the most sleight of hand you'll have to learn on all of these videos, and it's very simple. And that piece of sleight of hand is not used to just vanish a coin or vanish an object. It should be used in a larger trick. Now, where is the coin? It's in my lap. How did it get there? I'll show you. When I picked up the coin like this, I really didn't pick up the coin. What I did instead was apparently pick up the coin and vanished it. I didn't really vanish it. I just didn't pick up the coin. It's in my lap. How did it get there? Well, it got there simply by me scraping it off the edge of the table. I never picked it up. It appeared that I picked it up. Everything I did led you to believe that I picked up the coin. The way you practice this move is you simply put your fingers over the top of the coin. You notice when I cover the coin, you don't see it at all, although you know it's there. Now, when I take it to the edge of the table, the natural way to pick up a coin would be to lever it up with your thumb and hold it like that. So everything you do when you practice this is just pick up the coin, drag it, pick it up, drag it, pick it up, drag it, pick it up. You'll notice the thumb goes to lever the coin up just like it naturally would. So now when you want to learn how to do this move, you just simulate everything you're doing when you naturally are doing the move of dragging and picking up a coin, only you let it fall right off the edge of the table into your lap. And by the way, if you're having a napkin in your lap, like I am right now, it'll serve to catch it very nicely so it doesn't slip between your legs. So that's what's the move. Now, you don't use it just to go like this and say, hey, the coin's gone, because there's a psychological aspect of this, and that is you want to let some time pass from the time you've dropped the coin into your lap to the time you vanish the coin. So you add something to it, and that's what makes it a trick. When you add something to the basic move, then it becomes a trick. And if you remember when I demonstrated this, I didn't just go, watch, it's gone. I did this. Watch, I'll take the coin, place it in my hand, snap my fingers, and it's gone. Now, the trick is, how did it disappear from this hand by snapping my fingers and doing that? So that's the psychological aspect. You always take the move and you disguise it with something else so that they don't see the move. So I've now taken the coin, I've placed it somewhere else. Everybody believes the coin is now in this fist. Now, when the coin disappears, it vanishes from this hand, not the edge of the table, or this hand where it was before. So now it's here, you let a little time pass, you do something magical that makes it look like that's what makes the coin disappear, and then you do that. That's where it becomes a magic trick, and not just a piece of sleight of hand or a move, as we call it in the magic business. Now, of course, you can do this with just about anything. You're sitting at a table, and there's a matchbook there, and you say, hey, these are interesting matches. I like the logo on them. You know, the funny thing about it is if you snap your fingers and you throw it in the air, it becomes invisible. See, so the trick has happened with the matchbook. Or you can borrow somebody's finger ring. Say, wow, that's a really neat ring. Look, there's an inscription there. I tell you what, can you hold on to this for just a minute? Yeah, give me your hand. Yeah, oh, sorry, too late, ring's gone. You got another ring I can borrow? So you let enough time pass from the time it went off the edge of the table to the time you were gonna put it in their hand, and they've forgotten that you ever dragged it off the edge of the table and picked it up. So that's why, again, I'll reiterate, it's a move and not a trick in and of itself. It can be used anywhere in many different tricks, of which I'll be showing you in the upcoming tape here. It's also very useful, as you'll see in about 2 tricks down the road, not only to vanish something, but also to switch something for something else. We call it the ultimate utility move because you can use it so many ways to vanish or switch an object. Hey, here's something with a $50 and a fairly solid table, wouldn't you agree? Did you know that every table has a soft spot? If you listen for it, you can actually find it. I know that sounds far-fetched, but watch. All you have to do is put this hand underneath the table, and it'll catch the coin as it goes through. I know. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Watch. I think it's over here. There it is. And it just went through the table. I found the soft spot right there. Well, this is a great little trick that can be used with a borrowed coin or a coin that you take out of your own pocket, and it uses audio as part of a convincer to really sell the trick. Once you have the coin that's on the table, you simply do the ultimate utility move, which I just explained, and you explain that there's a soft spot in every table. And if you reach underneath to catch the coin as it comes through, at that point, I'm retrieving the coin from my lap with my left hand. So I do the ultimate utility move, pretend that I have it, say, now I'm going to reach below the table and find the soft spot in the table. And as I have the coin in my hand under the table, I'm simply clicking it to the bottom of the table, right on the edge, just banging it up against the table. At the same time, I'm doing this. Ah, I found it. And then, as I just simply time the 2 hands together, do that, I'm doing exactly the same at the bottom of the table, getting a good snap. Now, you'll notice I'm working on a table with a tablecloth. not the best table to do it on. You want to have a surface that is like a Formica or solid top table, because ordinarily this would probably sound a little more dull. But we have the tablecloth for many other purposes in this tape, so we're cheating a little bit. Best to do it on a hard surface. So you go, found it, right there, and then simply lift your fingers like that, and then bring the coin out as though it just went right through the table. Great trick. You'll really fool some people with this one. Hey, Belinda, I'd like to try something. Do you have a business card?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can get her business card. I'm going to show you something that's kind of fun. All right, there. Oh, in marketing. I'll tell you what, why don't you take your card? If you do a favor for me, I want you to fold it in half. And what that represents is doubling your efforts at your job in marketing, okay? All right. Everything should mean something, you know. Now, why don't you fold it in half again, double your efforts one more time.
All right.
And then, the real test of strength is, can she double her efforts one more time and fold it in half again? Of course, sure, that's, boy, if you can do it the other way. Good, and put it here on the table. Great. Now, can I borrow your hand for just a minute?
Sure.
Okay, I want you to take the card and hold on to it nice and tight. Get your fingers closed and turn your hand over. Now, whatever you do, don't let that card out of your hand, okay? I have a question. All that doubling of your effort, redoubling of your effort, what should that produce in good business? What is the hopeful outcome?
Lots more money.
Lots more money. Let's see if all that doubling of all your efforts turned anything into what we hope the fruits of all that labor is. And that is money, money, money. Well done.
Can we do that again?
Yeah, I want to get into that one. Yeah, everybody, here's my card. My good friend Tiffany is going to help me explain some of these tricks for you. This is a great trick, makes a big impression when you want to hand out your business card, or actually when you want to take someone's business card and do some magic with it and leave them with an impression. I, of course, borrow a card from someone and then say, I'll tell you what, do me a favor, fold that in half. They go through the folding procedure. I'll just shorten things up and tell them after they've folded it to toss it on the table. If you're sitting at a table, then say, if I can I borrow one of your hands for a minute? Now that acts as a misdirection. It forces the attention to the hand for just a moment, and they'll put their hand out like that, and then you do the ultimate utility move. Now, I want you to look at what's in my right hand. We'll get a good close-up right here. I have the folded dollar bill. I'm going to show you right now exactly how to fold that. You want it to be in as small a package as you possibly can to simulate the same size as a folded business card, and basically that's this. Fold it in half, and a half again, and half again, and in half again. It's not exactly the same size, but it's pretty close. Now that is just simply held in your fingers. You can have your thumb there, and it's there all the way from the start. It's kind of there's a term in magic called palming. And it's not really palming, but basically palming simply means to hold something in your hand and people don't know it's there. And the object now is to keep this hand looking as natural as possible. It's just resting here, holding the bill. So when this gets thrown down, you say, can I use your hand for just a minute? And then you simply put your fingers right on top of the business card. So you got them both. Do the ultimate utility move, just drag and let the business card drop right off the end of the table, and then you just work the bill into the tips of your fingers and stuff it right into their hand. Close the fingers on it just like that and say, I want you to hold that really tight and don't let it out. That's why that kind of covers the reason why you're pushing it into their hand and squeezing their hand like that. Just take control of their hand. Don't be gingerly about it. Just say, I want you to hold that business card. Don't let me get it out of there. And then they'll grab it good and tight. Say, now you keep the card. We're going to see if we can't make some magic happen, okay? And then you talk about doubling your efforts. When they folded the card, you double your efforts again in your business, and you double your efforts again. What do you hope that produces? Of course, they say money. And you say, I tell you what, let's see if any of that doubling of the efforts and folding your card did anything. When they open their hand, they'll be quite surprised. When you put that business card in their hand, they're convinced it's their business card, and you say, now remember, you doubled your efforts and doubled your efforts again. All that little story you're recapping here gives them all the time in the world to forget about picking up off the table. So when you say, let's see if it happened, and they get the bill, you're guaranteed to get a surprise. All right, here's an experiment in mental telepathy using some color crayons. I need a volunteer to help me with this, and let's get the amazing Tiffany to come up here. Would you, Tiffany? Let's give her. Hey, Tiffany. Tiffany, a whole bunch of different colored crayons. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn my back, and I want you to place a crayon in my hand, okay?
All right.
And then I want you to hide the rest of them so when I turn back, I can't see which one is in my hand.
Okay.
I want to see which one's missing. So you go ahead and take any one of those that you like and place it in my hand. Okay, hide the rest of them, okay, if you would.
I'm ready.
Now, the objective, of course, is for me to figure out what crayon you gave me, okay? This is sometimes really hard, but I'm getting a feeling very cooling and very refreshing and something you just want to jump into and just enjoy. This feels like water to me. I'm getting the color blue. Is that right?
That's
is it
right.
Blue? Oh, I got it. All right. Good. I'm going to give you that one back. You can put it back in if you want. You can hand me that one again or any one you like. Put it behind my back. And okay, so I've got one now. I'm back here, and you hide the rest of them. Okay, see if I can figure out which one this one is. Now I've got it divine. I think this one also is really cooling. This one, though, reminds me of springtime, when everything sort of just blossoms and the trees get full of great green leaves. And I'm feeling green. Is that right? The color of money,
exactly
too?
right.
Hey, I got it. All right. Let's do one more, and then we'll put this baby to bed, okay? Let's try any other one. Here, we'll go here in his hand. Give it to me, okay? Hide the rest of them, okay, if you would.
I'm ready.
All righty, now I'm going to see if I can figure out what this one is. That's the whole objective here. And are you sending it to me?
I'm
Because
sending
I'm
it
getting
to
something
you.
hot here. I'm getting like really hot and fiery. But not only that, I'm getting something refreshing, like something like some citrus or something you'd want to eat when juicy, when you're really thirsty, like perhaps my favorite fruit. Is this an orange one? Is this orange?
That's right.
Wow, let's hear it for Tiffany. You can have all of these as a souvenir. And remember, don't color outside the lines, okay? All right. Well, the secret to this is just presentation. There's really very, very little happening in terms of mechanics. I'll show you that in just a second. But the whole success is how well you can sell the fact that you're actually somehow picking up what color it is through mystical senses and mystical perceptions and ESP and all that. So the more that you can sell it about, I'm getting the sense of something really cool and refreshing, anything that green or blue or red reminds you of, because here's how the mechanics of the trick work, which are very simple. Tiffany, what I'd like you to do is hand me one of those crayons when I turn my back. What you do basically is you have both hands back here, one maybe on your hip and one behind your back. She's going to place it in my right hand. And I want you to watch what I do here. As that crayon is in my hand, watch my thumb. Thumb just scrapes across. And look at my nail. That little bit of green there. Now that I've got the green under my nail, I transfer the crayon to my other hand, and then I bring that hand that has the green on the nail out like this, and I say, okay, now it's my job to figure out what crayon you got. Now, I've just looked at my thumb, and you don't go, oh, it's green. I mean, you try and do it casually. Hold it about 1.5 feet in front of your face and say, okay, I'm going to try and figure out what it is. Now, as soon as you know what color it is, get your hand sort of away from your eyes, because you don't need to have it there anymore, and you don't want them to think you somehow got something on your hand that's telling you. So you just see it and you go, okay, I think this is the color, and you start using it out here, and you're looking out here, and all your looks go out here, and that's where the presentation comes in, rather than staring at your thumb. Once you know it's green, that's all you need to know. In fact, sometimes I'll clean the little bit of crayon out from underneath my nail. You notice it's already gone, because it just takes a little flick. So as I'm waving my hands, I'm going, okay, this is a really refreshing color. It's a color of the spring. It has a smell associated with it, too. I know, when I was a kid, what's coming back to me now is that smell of freshly mowed grass. That must mean, so it's all presentation. It's whatever you can think of that associates with that color. And then when you get it right, you say, is this in fact green? Before you bring it out, ask them, did you give me a green crayon?
I did.
Oh, you did, huh? Oh, sure enough, it is green. So you don't bring it out until you get verification that it's green. And then say, okay, let's try that again. And the same thing repeats. And say, you can of course, give me any color you want. Now, it's important, in this explanation, we didn't do it. It's important that she's not standing here holding the crayons, because someone could say, well, you're looking at them and you've noticed that green is gone. So you make sure that the person has hid the rest of the crayons before you turn around. So really it is timing. It's in the hand. As soon as she places it, you turn around, and it should take no longer than the second that she hands it to you to scrape it like that and say, okay, I'm going to get it. I've transferred hands. They don't even realize you've transferred the crayon, because both hands are sort of back here. You scrape, you dump it in the other hand, get the color blue. That's how it works. You can do it 4, 5, 6 times until people are sleeping, and that's a pretty good clue to stop. But 3 will pretty much impress them. Hey, here's something that's kind of interesting with some toothpicks. Now, we know those are made out of wood. Everything in the world is actually made out of some kind of material, and everything is made out of energy. If you really look really close, you know, it's all just molecules. It's electrical energy. But wood is not considered a very good conductor of electricity. For example, I can take a copper wire and pass electricity through it very well, but when it comes to toothpicks, not so well. Except I found that if I find just the perfect polyester material that I rub the toothpick with. I find that you can make an electrical charge jump from one toothpick. Did you see that? Really? Watch. We'll do it again. We rub it right here on the polyester and see if we can't just transfer a charge from one toothpick to the other. Chloe, can I borrow your hand for just a second? We'll place that right there on your hand, get a little static charge here, and see if we can't just make a transfer from one right to the other. Those are electrostatic toothpicks, and I think it's rather shocking. This is kind of an impromptu little puzzler that has quite a shocking effect, pardon the pun, when someone else is holding the toothpick especially. Let me show you the mechanics of this. First of all, the whole secret is in the way you hold the toothpick in your hand. I'm simply pinching it between the thumb and forefinger, but this curled middle finger is behind. This is what it looks like to the audience as I turn my hand. From my point of view, you'll see that my nail is just there at the end of the toothpick and just catches it like that. And if you'll notice, this end gets a little bit of a jerk. Now, we're really close now, so that jerk looks a little more than it does when you're watching it from a distance. But that little vibration, and actually you can get to where you control it so minutely that even the flick of that isn't as perceptible. So when you bring in another toothpick like this and you get close to it, and it sends it flying. And of course, when you put it in the hands of someone else, after you've done it a few times, just let it rest there, Tiffany, and you come in like that. It gives them quite a little shock when it jumps up like that. Of course, all this is baloney, as we say in the magic business. It's just subterfuge with all these static electricity, because actually you need a reason to have this phenomenon occurring. You don't want to say, watch what happens when I touch these together. I flick the toothpick and it sends it flying. See, that pretty much gives away the secret. So you want to cover it up by saying it's all done with static electricity. That's an important part of all of these tricks, is the presentation. What you're saying is happening is generally not the truth. But in fact, it'll never be the truth. Take that one from me. But it gives a story, and it also misdirects their attention from what's really happening. So actually, misdirection, that old expression, the hand is quicker than the eye, is not really true. It's just that the magician's mind, or the person doing the trick, is sharper and ahead of the person watching the trick. So it's all the story. The mechanics are always easy. Hey, Steve, we were talking earlier. I told you I'd give you my business card, and I wanted to get yours. Why don't you come up here, and I'll give you mine, and I'll get yours a little later, but I wanted to make sure that you got this. So, hey, wait a minute. Before I give it to you, if you got a second, I want to show you something with this card, okay? Sneaky how I got you up here to do a trick, didn't I? All right, here's my card. I'm going to leave it in my hand and close my fingers around it like that, and I have your pencil in my pocket. What I'm going to do is try to tap my hand 3 times, once, twice, 3 times, and see if I can't make that business card disappear. Would that be a good trick? Okay, yeah. All right, I mean, it's right there. There's no question in your mind. It's in my hand, right? All right, we'll give it a shot. Watch. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I forgot. It's not the business card that's supposed to disappear. It's the pencil that's supposed to disappear. Silly me. Actually, I'll show you what I did. Look right up here. You'll see that I actually ditched it right up here in my behind my ear. So I was pulling the wool over your eyes. It was a little fun. Let's just try it with the card again. You ready? All right. All right. 1, 2, 3. And the trick worked. The card's gone. Hey! Sorry, I wanted to give you my card. Now I can't do it. Wait a minute. I'll tell you what. I have another one right here. You take that. I'll get yours a little later, okay? All right. Thank you very much. This one is called Twice Fooled for good reason, because you sting them twice on this one. And it capitalizes very much on a basic fundamental principle of magic called misdirection. You really misdirect the attention of the viewer to the wrong place, and it's very clever. You'll see how it works. You start out, of course, with your business card in the outside left jacket pocket. You must have it there for the success of this trick. So it really necessitates you're wearing a jacket, or if you're not wearing a jacket, it's got to be something that has a very accessible and very easy to get in and out of pocket in this location of your person. And then you also have your pencil or a pen in this pocket, or anywhere. Where you get this from is not important, but you have to have it handy. So you start out and say, hey, I want to give you one of my cards. Here it is. And oh, before I give it to you, let me show you something interesting. This little thing I learned is trying to make it disappear. You want to see it?
Yeah.
So you reach up and you grab the pen or pencil. Say, what I'm going to do is just close my hands over the card. Now, you try to cover as much of the card as possible. Just sort of angle it so you can get most of the card hidden from view from the person as they're looking down at your hand, because when it actually is gone later on, you want them to think that it's still there. So you say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this pencil and I'm going to tap my hand 3 times like this, 1, 2, and 3 times, and hopefully I'll make that card disappear. And you show it to them again. And I say, oh, I want to see that. So they'll start really watching your hand, and that's the misdirection, because you've just told them in advance it's going to disappear from your hand. So that rivets their attention in the wrong place. Now here's what happens when you count 3. You simply go 1, 2, and then just jam this baby right behind your ear, like you do whenever you need someplace to put your pencil. You just stick it behind your ear. Now make sure you don't stick it in your right eye. That can be very painful, but it makes for a great trick, I'm sure, but a different kind. So you go 1, 2, 3, and just come down just like, oh, I forgot. It's not the business card that's supposed to disappear, it's the pencil. Now usually they're looking, you can turn back toward them, and they frequently never even see it behind your ear because they're so astonished the pencil's gone. But you want to show the business card is still there, and then you laugh and say, yeah, look, I fooled you. I actually just stuck it up here. Now, here's misdirection again, because as soon as they see it up here, you've turned your whole body away from them, and you got your hand here at your side. Remember, the business card was here in the hand. You turn away, and now you just ditch it in the pocket. Just dump it right in your pocket and say, look, the pencil's up behind my ear. And then you take your hand out again and close it just like it was when I was holding the card, and swing back and say, I was just being silly. I was trying to fool you. Let's really try and make the business card disappear. And then you do exactly the same thing. Go 1, 2, and 3, and it's gone. And they'll go, whoa, where did that go? So your turn is only long enough to show the pencil behind your ear and dump the card and then come right back in the exact same position. And that's why I mentioned you want your hand to cover as much of the business card as you possibly can, because at this point, the card is not there. And if you've got half the card sticking out at the beginning, and then when you dump it and come back and it's not there, it's going to look suspicious. So, by the way, this does not have to happen with a business card. This can be a coin, this can be a ring, it can be anything in your left hand. So if your hand is too small to hide a business card, don't worry about it. We just used it because it's a great way to hand out your business card. Otherwise, you can vanish anything you want as long as it can be held in your hand. And now once I've vanished the business card and we appreciate the little trick here, say, I'll tell you what, I wanted to give you my card. I do have another one, and then you reach in and get the same one that you've been using. An important part of this is that you don't break rhythm. You don't go 1, 2, 3, because everybody's going, what happened between 2 and 3? You could have driven a truck through that. So you can just simply practice 1, 2, 3. And when you got that routine, that move down, then you're ready to add the rest of it. So it's just stick it behind your ear. You know, maybe it's the sign of the times, but the silverware they're making these days is made out of some pretty flimsy material, if you ask me. If you look at that, it just looks like you couldn't scoop ice cream with that if you tried. Which I tell you, if you got into that ice cream thing, you could just probably just bend the heck out of it, but that's all right. You just straighten it out that fast and you can start all over again. And it's right back to its good old flimsy self.
Oh, my God.
Well, this is actually another optical illusion. This appears to be something happening that isn't, and you sell it in a number of different ways. It really can catch some people by surprise when you do it. You're sitting at a restaurant and say, oh, gee, look at this silverware. It's kind of strange. First, I'll show you the optical illusion where it looks like it's made of rubber. You grab the spoon about, I guess it's about midpoint. Every spoon is different, but you'll kind of feel the balance point on any spoon, and then you're very lightly holding it, and you start to wave it like this, and let it just teeter-totter in your hand. And this is when you can only practice. Just look in a mirror and try it until you get the point where what you're doing is you're moving your hand vertically up and down. The hand is going up like this, the spoon is just wobbling, and it's just an optical illusion, and sometimes it doesn't look rubber at all, and sometimes it just looks like it's just made of rubber. And again, I'll only stress, just try it in front of the mirror a couple of times until you get to the point where it looks like you've achieved the rubber effect. They say, boy, this stuff is really made of flimsy material these days. Then you go into the bending. Now watch how this works. You put the spoon in your hand, but you notice it goes between the little finger and the ring finger like that. So it's sticking out here. The reason why is you want you want a fulcrum point here too, a place for it to hinge on, because actually you're not bending the spoon, you're letting it hinge down like this as you're bending the spoon. Now the other hand comes into play as a cover. It kind of masks the fact that this spoon is sitting here between these fingers. Just covers right over the front like that, and your two thumbs go together up at the top like this, hiding this. So you should just see the thumb. So you say, well, look at the spoons, and then the hand comes in, and then basically what you're doing is just relaxing your grip on the spoon as you're making it look like you're getting really into bending it like that, and you bend it right over the top, and your hands come right over. And we're gonna show you this from behind. Here we go. Goes down and stops there as you put in all the fake tension of bending the spoon. So it's all optical at that point. And of course the body and the face and everything sells the fact that you're bending the spoon. And even the voice, if you do it, say, boy, this stuff is really made, it's cheap. And then when I straighten it out, it's really no clever way to cover this up. You just grab it like this and show it, hey, it's back. And do that rather quickly. So it bends, and then say, hey, don't worry, it's straight. That's actually the whole of bending the spoon. And I say, when you pick up somebody's fine silver at their house and go, oh boy, this stuff's really cheap, you'll watch some faces, jaws drop on that one, and then you make it all better real quick. Here's something that really irks me. You go to a nice restaurant, you're ready for a great meal, you sit down and you realize the service isn't up to par because you look down and there is one piece of silver at your place setting. Now, how are you going to have your soup when you've got just a fork? I figured out the solution. All you have to do is take your napkin, open it up like this, adjust it like so, put the fork in the middle, and then you start to roll it up into a tube like this. Make sure I don't do any funny moves here, okay? Roll it up like this. And if you're very clever, you can snap your fingers like that and enjoy your soup just the way you want to with that spoon. And you're ready to eat the first course.
Wow.
The key to this amazing transformation is the fact that you actually have a spoon underneath the handkerchief from the start. Now, how it gets there, I'll show you in a minute. First, let me show you how the transposition from spoon to fork takes place. The spoon is actually crosswise like this, parallel to your body. They just don't see it. You take the fork and you place it right on top. Now the bowl of the spoon is the same way that I have the bend in the fork, so it kind of rests nicely over that. What happens then is you grab the two of them together. I'll let you know here that I have put a little piece of tape here just so you can see right on the edge of the underside of the napkin, because I want you to understand what actually happens in this trick when you roll it up is the whole napkin flips over. And in flipping over, it takes the fork and the spoon with it. So the spoon comes to the top, the fork goes underneath. It sounds weird, but you'll see how it happens. You grab both of them like this through the
let
cloth,
me clear
and you
my
begin to
throat.
roll it in a nice tube like this. You roll them both together toward the end. Now remember, this is the underside. Watch what happens as you get to the point where these two corners meet. This one flops over, and the other one that had the piece of tape there is now on top. So when the two corners exchange places, you can now unroll it like this, and the spoon is there instead of the fork. So that's how the transposition happens. Now there's one other item here, is once it's happened, all their attention is on the spoon, and it's very easy to simply pick up the spoon like this. Now the fork is right there behind it, underneath, is to pick up the spoon, and you simply drag the fork right off into your lap, and you say, that's the spoon transformation. So, let me show you how this all starts at the beginning. You need a little bit of preparation. When people aren't watching, you simply take your napkin and fold it like this. I folded the ends in like that, so we have the meeting in the middle, and then you fold it in thirds like this, and then you put the spoon right underneath it like that. So when that's set up, you can then take the fork and throw it on top. So now all you have to do is grab the spoon and the fork right through the napkin, push it into position. Spoon is right underneath. Put the fork aside, open this up like this, and now you can adjust it like this as long as you don't let the spoon be revealed. So you have to keep it in the same relative position. There's the spoon right there, and then you're all ready, of course, to lay the fork right on top and continue on rolling the two together And as you roll them, you can straighten out like this, but just make sure they know there's nothing fishing going on.
Let me
And then
clear my throat.
Sometimes it'll get real far away from you. Just lift it up like this, move it closer, and then let the ends flop over. Grab the opposite ends, reveal the spoon, drag the fork off into your lap, and you're clean. Hey, I'd like to ask a question. Angels are very popular recent years, aren't they? I mean, you hear a lot about them, magazine stories about them, and you turn on TV, there's
Busting
stories.
nuts all up
Anybody
in
here
that
kind of
90s
believe in angels? Rip? Oh, Connor, all of you? All right, well, good, because I want somebody who believes in angels. Brooke, would you help me with this one? Yes. Okay, good. Okay, stand right over here. Right over the trap door. Good, that's good. I'm just serious. Okay. What belief in angels do you have? Do you actually feel that they're guiding your life, or?
Yeah.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah, I
Have
feel
you
like
had
they're
any?
around me.
Yeah? Well, good. That's going to be perfect. Because we're going to see if we can't summon an angel. Now, you've probably heard that some people think there are good angels, and, bad forces and good forces. In fact, there's that sort of image you get of the good angel sitting on one shoulder and the bad angel, whispering in your ear. And, yeah? You're familiar with that?
Yeah.
If you were to have a good angel, which shoulder do you think the good angel would be sitting on yours? That one over here? The bad angel over here? All right, let's see if we can't summon an angel. Stand right there. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take my two hands like this.
Yeah.
And I'll come toward you and touch your eyebrows, okay?
Okay.
And I'll say 1,
Busting asses
2,
all up in your
and I'm gonna come in
millennial
and touch
face.
your eyelids. With my fingers, I won't touch hard, and I'll ask you to close just like that, and I'll touch your eyelids, okay? And when we've done that, we'll see if we can summon an angel. Okay, you can open your eyes now.
All right.
Okay. Now, if you feel the presence of an angel, something happen or something occur, then it's okay to open your eyes, okay?
Okay.
All righty. So you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, now keep them open until I say close. 2, close. 3.
Yeah. You went like this on my shoulder.
Oh, that would have been the good angel then, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, cool. I didn't see anything. That's very cool. They're all where they were, weren't they? So it had to be your angel. Let's try it again. Maybe the bad angel is here, okay? Try it again, okay? Watch. No, there's nothing over here. All right, go for the bad angel here. 1, 2, close. 3.
What was that?
I don't know. I didn't see anything. Anybody see anything? What happened? Did you feel something? Because angels are
Yeah,
invisible.
something brushed my shoulder.
Must have been the bad. This shoulder here had to be the bad angel. I don't know. I have no explanation for it. Did anybody get up here? They're all in the same place. One more time. Let's just try this. 1, 2, close. 3. I don't know. What angel was that? I have no idea what angel that was. I think you're spooky. You better sit down. Everybody stay away. Give her a round of applause for helping. Well, this is a great fooler, especially for the person standing next to you that this is being presented on. And, of course, a lot of entertainment for the people watching it because they figure out what's happening and they can see what's happening and they appreciate and enjoy the fact that she can't figure it out. So it's entertainment on two facets. For you, though it should be a real mystery, you, again, rely heavily on the presentation of angels, touched by an angel. The fact, as I set it up in the presentation, you can watch it again. You bring up all the bit about angels being very popular. Do you believe in it? A lot of people believe in angels, the good, the bad angel, the shoulders, and all that sort of thing. The actual mechanics are what I'll show you now. You can watch the presentation for the story. You're simply conditioning the person to believe the sensation of 1, and seeing that. Don't close your eyes until I say close your eyes, okay? 1, 2, so they're really getting used to seeing the 2 fingers come to their eyes. So you've conditioned when they finally feel this, that those are the same 2 fingers. It's a conditioning process and it's very important. So you actually say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to touch your eyebrows once, twice, and then I'm going to ask you to close, 3, and then actually say, while you're explaining what's going to happen, actually use your 2 fingers, and then I'm going to put them on your eyeballs and say, I won't push hard, don't worry, I just want to touch your eyelids. And then go ahead, open. And then what I'll do is maybe something magical will happen or mysterious. So they're seeing you with your 2 fingers in front of their eyes, so they now will not suspect anything other than that when they actually feel the angel on their shoulder. So you understand now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So then you go ahead and you do the old switcheroo on this one. You say, okay, here we go. Don't close your eyes till I tell you to. 1, 2, and you say close, 3. And then you go and touch the eyelids. So say close before you say 3. So that gives you time to switch from here. Now you want them, also you want their eyes closed so they don't see you do this. And that's one of the frequent mistakes with this, is that someone will, open your eyes, Tiffany, great. Someone will go, and 3, close. And of course they've seen the whole switch. So you want to make sure those eyes are closed. So it's, one more time, it's 1, 2, close, 3. And you just go in and try and keep the same rhythm and touch them very gently. You don't want to be pushing against their eyeballs. And then just give them a little light brush like it was an angel. Now, when that happens, and you can even tell them up front, if you feel the presence of an angel or you feel anything like somebody might have made their appearance, go ahead and open your eyes. And you can actually say that with confidence, because by the time, go ahead, close, by the time you touch them, if you're quick, you get back right to here, they're going to open their eyes, and it takes a second for their eyes to sort of adjust to that close. They will not see you coming in from the outside with that finger. They'll actually, the first thing that they'll actually see is the tips of your 2 fingers, and then you start pulling them away slowly as though they've been there all the time. So that's all very important. So one more time, just so you got it. 1, 2, close, 3. And then get right back into position, and make sure you get that second finger in so you're not sitting there like this. That'll be telltale. So you go from here to open to there, and then come back real slowly off their eyes, just the same way you went in. And then you can do the bad angel too. So go ahead, close. And just, you have to be careful reaching underneath though, like that. Open, yeah, good. And they'll see that. And then I always like to finish by, close your eyes again, just going, just a little tap up there. It kind of surprises them. Say, what angel was that?
I don't know.
I don't know. A devious one, I think. All right, that's how you do it. Have a great deal of fun with this. I'm sure you'll find for just 1 person or 10 people, it'll be a real crowd pleaser. For 1 person, a real crowd pleaser? I'm not sure how that works. Hey, Rob, you like card tricks, don't you?
Yes.
All right, let's do a card trick together, all right?
Okay. I'm going to use this mat because the cards show up really well on it.
What I'd like you to do, first of all, is mix up this deck of cards and make sure that they're in no prearranged order until you're happy that they're mixed and they're totally random. You can shuffle them, cut them, or whatever you like. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to take out one of my business cards here that we're going to do something with in just a second. Okay, you're pretty good at that. Almost. Almost, pretty good. All right, everybody see that they're well mixed?
Yeah.
Okay? All right, let's see what happens here. I'm going to make a prediction. Let me just concentrate here. 2 cards. 2 cards are talking to me. I'm going to write them right here on the back. I don't know. I could be off base here. You shuffle the deck. We're happy with that, all right? Here's what I'd like you to do. Take my card. Don't turn it over. But as I run through the cards, I want you to insert it anywhere in the pack that you like between any 2 cards, okay?
All right.
Go ahead, anywhere you like. If you want to go up here, I'll spread them there. It's up to you. Totally random.
Up there.
Okay, but only put it in halfway. Leave it jutting out half the deck. Okay.
Okay.
That's where it goes, right? Okay. I told you I wrote something on the back of the card.
Yes.
I kind of intimated there were 2 cards, all right?
Right.
All right. I'm now going to let you see what 2 cards I wrote on the back of the card. There's where you put it, 5 of hearts and 5 of spades, okay? I'm going to spread the deck exactly there. I want you to remove my card, my business card, and the 2 cards on either side of the business card.
Okay.
Great. I wrote 2 cards there. If you would, turn over the 2 cards that were on either side where you inserted.
No way.
5 of hearts.
Oh my gosh.
How did you do that? I have no idea. Here's another great trick using a business card, and a terrific way to get your card into somebody's hands in a magical fashion. You have to, of course, have a deck of cards with you as well, and you say, this is a trick using 2 cards. I've got one of them as my business card, and there's 52 more in here that look a little different. We're going to try something. First, what I'd like you to do, is, if you would, Tiffany, is just to shuffle up the cards, make sure they're in no prearranged order. Once that's done, there's one thing that you do now that's very important. You say, under the guise of saying how well shuffled they are, you're actually looking at 2 cards. So you say, boy, you really shuffled those well. And if there's other people see how, you know, this is a well-shuffled deck, you look at 2 cards. The bottom card, the 10 of diamonds, and the 2 of spades. And those are the cards that you're going to write on the business card as your prediction. You just do it, again, under the pretense of showing how well shuffled they are. So you quickly glimpse them, 10 of diamonds, 2 of spades, and you say, you know what, Tiffany, I'm going to make a prediction. And you take the pen and say, just don't mention that they're cards. I might have done that in the performance, and if I did, it's okay, but it's better to leave them wondering what it is. So you just say, I'm just going to make a prediction about something I think is going to happen. And you write, I'm writing 10D and 2S, and that stands for 10 of diamonds and 2 of spades. It's the easiest way to write it without taking a long time. Say, okay, there's my prediction. I've written on the back of my card, but I don't want you to see what I've written yet, although I will put it right over here by you. What I'd like you to do is, you shuffled this deck, right?
Yes.
Of course, you want to remind them of that all the time. All that good stuff helps make it seem even harder. See, I want you, anywhere as I go through here, at any place in your shuffled deck, put my card in between any 2 cards.
Okay.
Now, make sure you tell them, don't turn the card over. I don't want you to see what I wrote, so they don't flip it over and see something at that point. You say, now that's a free choice. Do you want to change your mind, or are you happy with the mind you have?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay, great. All right, little joke in there. Now, you say, leave it sticking out halfway. If they don't do that, say just leave it sticking out halfway, and then you just carefully close up the deck so that there's no suspicion that you've moved that position.
Remember what they told us to do at school?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, hold on.
Broadcast stations in your area. Equipment that can quickly warn release of chemicals or hazardous materials. Official mess.
Hey, give that back!
Come on, you guys, let's go. Inside.
Honey, did you hear anything about a test today?
No, I didn't see anything in the paper. Do you think it's real?
Emergency alert system. This is a test of the emergency alert system. This is a coordinated monthly test of the broadcast stations in your area. Equipment that can quickly warn you during emergencies is being tested. If this had been an actual emergency...
The Harrisons and their neighbors did the right thing. The Chemical Stockpile Emergency Preparedness Program, or CSEP, uses a variety of warning devices to alert and notify the public in a rapid manner. A siren, or a total alert signal, is meant to grab your attention. You should listen to the warning message and take immediate action. If you're outside and cannot hear the warning instructions, immediately go inside and turn to your local emergency radio or television station for information on appropriate protective action. Officials in your CSEP community will use electronic sirens, tone alert radios, route alerting, or messages sent over TV and radio to let you know what you need to do to protect yourself, your family or household members, your pets, or people at your business or workplace. Depending on the situation, you may then be asked to evacuate or to shelter in place. In some cases, officials may ask part of the community to shelter and part to evacuate. Emergency planners have developed protective action strategies to maximize public protection in the event of a release. If officials advise you to evacuate and you are at home, immediately gather up medications, emergency supplies, family members, and pets,
and follow recommended evacuation routes away from the hazard area to a reception center. Officials will tell you where to go and when it is safe to return. If you cannot evacuate or shelter by yourself, make arrangements for your neighbors, nearby friends, or relatives to assist you. Contact your local emergency management agency for assistance. If household members are separated, follow your household emergency plan that contains strategies to take protective action and eventually reunite. If your family does not have an emergency plan, you should develop one. Information and resources developed in your community can help you to prepare a plan. Children out playing should know to return home immediately. If your children are at school, don't phone the school or try to pick them up. The schools have a plan in place to protect the children. If a family member is at work or another location, don't risk your own safety by trying to pick them up. And don't wait for them to get home before taking protective action. Community officials will reunite families when it becomes safe to do so. Have an emergency kit to support shelter and evacuation. This may contain a flashlight, portable radio, extra batteries, water, emergency food, clothes, and other items. This FEMA Red Cross brochure contains a complete checklist for your family's emergency supply kit. Officials may advise some people to shelter in place in their residence or place of business if a chemical agent accident occurs. Sheltering is a normal protective activity for a variety of emergencies. People often are advised to shelter inside when natural events such as thunderstorms or snows threaten an area. For a chemical emergency, shelter in place means you go inside a building, close and lock windows and doors, and turn off heating or air conditioning units and other fans or vents to the outdoors. It's preferable for occupants to stay in an indoor room with no outside windows. You need a portable radio or television to know when it's safe to exit. Don't wait for an emergency to pick a room to use. Choose it in advance and make sure that all household members know which room is your safe room. If a plume containing chemical agent vapor is expected to pass over your structure, taking additional precautions to protect yourself may be necessary. To enhance the protection afforded by the structure, you should take additional actions in your safe room, like placing duct tape over cracks and plastic sheeting over windows and door openings. These measures are called expedient sheltering and provide a further barrier to outside air penetration. You will be notified when you should end sheltering. Quickly, follow official instructions on what to do next. Officials may direct you to relocate to a reception center. When officials tell you to vent structures, open doors and windows, and turn on fans to replace the inside air of your residence with outside air. At this point, you may be able to stay inside while venting, or you may be asked to go outside into your driveway or street. If you cannot leave your house, try to open up your house as much as possible. Turning on fans and opening front and back doors and all windows provides good cross ventilation. Don't use your telephone or cell phone unless it's absolutely necessary. Phone circuits are quickly overwhelmed during an emergency. You may be wondering why officials would tell you to shelter when a plume with hazardous vapor is in your neighborhood. I'll explain what would happen if a chemical agent plume passed your house. As the plume passes the structure, some contaminants enter the building. The concentration of contaminants is lower in the building than outside, and even lower in the safe room. Notice that the structure retains some contaminated air after all the contaminants are swept away from the air outside the structure. The reason contaminants remain inside a structure after the plume is passed has to do with the amount of air that normally enters and leaves a building over time. This is referred to as air exchange. All buildings have some air infiltration, even with all doors and windows closed, because air is constantly moving back and forth through the walls and cracks and crevices. Scientists can measure the rate of air exchange that occurs in a structure. That is, how long it takes for the air inside to be replaced by the air coming in from the outside. In homes that are not sealed to up-to-date standards, the average air exchange rate will vary from 1 to 2 air exchanges per hour. This means that, on average, if the air exchange rate is 2 exchanges per hour, it will take about an hour and a half for most of the air in the house to be replaced with outside air. Unless retrofitted or weatherized, most older buildings have much higher rates of air infiltration. The air will pass more easily and quickly from the outside into the structure. If a chemical agent release were to occur, the most likely way the agent would reach your neighborhood is through vapor in a plume. Unlike the larger particles present in smoke from fires, vapor can penetrate structures more easily. Moreover, vapors don't rise into the atmosphere and condense, so chemical agent vapors aren't going to condense and fall down as rain droplets. Unlike buildings, cars, even when they're completely closed up, provide little protection when moving. That's because cars have a small interior space compared to their exposed surfaces, making cars much more leaky than buildings. Researchers have found air exchange rates for moving vehicles range from 12 to 45 exchanges per hour. You know what that means if you've driven by a skunk on the side of the road. As soon as you smell the odor, you probably open all the vents and maybe the windows too to get the odor out of your car. And the odor leaves very rapidly. The odor is trapped inside until the air is replaced. With closed, stationary vehicles, the exchange rate is much lower, depending on the wind speed. But you can see why emergency officials may advise staying in a building rather than have you leave in a vehicle during the passing of a hazardous plume, or if there is not time to evacuate residents from an area before the plume arrives.
Let's review how we would shelter in place and protect ourselves in a real emergency. First, we use the bathroom as our safe room because it has no windows and it's on the first floor, making it easily accessible. Then we take our shelter in place kit into the safe room. Now the kit includes tape, some plastic sheeting for the door, a pair of scissors, a radio with extra batteries, and some emergency food and water supplies.
We also have our plastic already cut and labeled.
Well, that sure speeds up the process. Now, the first thing we need to cover is the door. We have to make sure all the edges are sealed with duct tape.
While you do that, Tony and I can tape around the pipes.
Remember what your job is?
I'll tape under the sink and around the pipe that goes to the toilet.
Great. And Christian can tape around the pipes in the shower.
That's easiest to do with small pieces of tape.
We also tape the electrical outlets and place a plastic sheet over the ceiling vent. Anywhere vapors can get into the room, we seal it.
Then we listen to the radio for further instructions. Now, the radio will give us updates on the situation and tell us when we should leave the safe room.
Mom, shouldn't we keep taping? Yeah, if we keep taping, we'll be safer.
Well, that's true, but it's more important to get a tight, firm seal the first time.
And finally, when the official order is given to end sheltering, we'll follow officials' instructions to vent the house or relocate to a reception center.
That sounds like a plan.
So, if you're advised to shelter in place, go inside, turn off air and heat, close windows and doors, get out your pre-assembled emergency kit for expedient sheltering. Go into your safe room, tape openings, stay calm, and listen for the message to end sheltering. Then follow instructions from your emergency officials on what to do next. This family may never have to deal with an emergency from an accidental or intentional release of chemical agents, but they are well prepared because they have all rehearsed their emergency plan. Being prepared is an important first step in protecting you and your family.
Hi, I'm Linda Evans, and I'd like to congratulate you on your exciting new purchase. I know from my own personal experience and the experience of others that the Rejuvenique system is an investment that can produce amazing results for your face and skin. And since it's a system, not a cream, it can keep on producing those results for years to come. Now, in just a few seconds, we're going to take you step by step through the setup and operation of your Rejuvenique system so you can start achieving your own results. We'll give you easy-to-follow instructions on assembling the system, fitting the mask to your face, and operating the controls. And in addition, we'll give you details on how to get the best results and answer the most commonly asked questions.
Your system comes complete with everything you need to get started and begin your Rejuvenique experience. Your Rejuvenique system requires very little assembly. It's important to become familiar with the system prior to use. We recommend you watch this video manual. However, it is not a substitute for the owner's manual included. The essential parts of your Rejuvenique system are the facial mask with adjustable straps and 26 gold-plated contact points, the battery-operated control box, the connector cord, the tube of enriched toning gel, the tube of purifying cleanse. Make sure you thoroughly review the owner's manual and save it for future reference. The first step is to install the 9-volt battery into the control unit. The control unit uses a standard 9-volt battery, which is included with your system and should last approximately 3 months. To install the battery, simply slide off the battery cover located on the back of the control unit. The battery will only plug onto the battery leads one way. Align the battery onto the lead and snap it into place. Now tuck the battery into the compartment of the control unit and slide the cover back into place. When the battery needs to be replaced, the system will not operate, and the low battery indicator on the display area will light up. Now you're ready to connect the control unit to the mask. Simply take one end of the connecting cable and insert it into the receptacle of the control box, and the other end into the receptacle of the mask. That's it. Your Rejuvenique system is now assembled and ready for your first facial session. Before preparing your mask for your first facial session, it is very important to properly fit the headband and mask so that they are comfortable and positioned correctly on the face. The headband is easily adjusted by unhooking the Velcro and sliding the strap through the clips to tighten or loosen the headband. The first time you position the mask on your face, you will likely want to use a mirror to help you align it properly. When positioning the mask, the 4 facial contact areas on the mask directly above the eyes should align on or slightly above your eyebrows. The point directly below the nose opening of the mask should align in the center of the space between your nose and upper lip. To adjust the headband and fit the mask, loosen the headband as far as it will go. Place the mask into position and slide the headband over the top of the head. It is important to position the triangle of the headband slightly below the crown of the head and secure the top strap in this position. This will cause the side straps of the mask to angle up toward the crown of the head, providing a light upward lift of the mask. The side straps can be tightened slightly, but should not be too tight. A light, comfortable fit of the headband and mask will bring it into proper contact with your face. A tight fit with excessive pressure on the face is not desirable. The headband is now adjusted correctly. You are now ready for your first Rejuvenique facial session. For your first session, choose a place where you can sit comfortably for the 15 minutes it takes to complete a session. Your system comes with a tube of enriched toning gel to be used with the system. Place a small amount of gel on the ends of each of the contact areas of the mask. Place the mask into position as before and get ready for a real treat. Turn the system on by rotating the pulsation control knob. You will hear a beep and see a flashing bar in the location display area indicating the system is ready to begin a session. You will use this knob during the session to control the pulsation you feel to a level that is comfortable for you. For an initial setting, continue rotating the control knob to the number 2 on the dial. This setting is low enough that you will not likely feel any pulsation when you press the start area to begin the session. As soon as you are ready, press and release the start area on the control unit. You will see a number 1 appear in the location display area. This indicates that the control unit is sending a pulsation to the number 1 facial areas located on both sides of your forehead. You may want to refer to the illustration in your instructions that shows all of these facial areas. There are 12 facial zones designed into the mask, and the Rejuvenique system automatically covers each of these areas 4 times during the 15-minute facial session. As the system advances from one facial area to the next, you may need to increase or decrease the level of pulsation. This is easily accomplished by rotating the control knob in the appropriate direction. After using the system a couple of times, you will find a level of pulsation intensity that produces a relaxing yet invigorating facial while remaining comfortable. And comfort is the key word here. The system will beep to let you know the 15-minute facial session is complete and shuts itself off. To completely conserve battery power, turn the control knob to the off position. If you would like to do another 15-minute session immediately following the first, you will need to turn the control knob off and then back to the on position to reset the system. To begin, press the start button again. Using the system consistently for 15 to 30 minutes per day, 4 days per week over several weeks, will produce the best results. Using your system more than 30 minutes a day will not significantly accelerate the results you will see. After you have achieved the results you are looking for, you can reduce the frequency you use the system to once a week to maintain the results. Or if you prefer, you may continue using the system on the same schedule. This improvement generally begins within the first 30 days of using the system and generally continues over the next 60 to 90 days. We recommend you take several close-up pictures or video of yourself before you use the system, and again every 30 days to measure your progress. Care of your system is easy. After each session, use a damp paper towel or cloth to wipe any excess gel from the contact points and inside surface of the mask. If the gel is allowed to dry and harden, it can interfere with the proper operation of the system. We know that you will enjoy using the Rejuvenique system and that you will enjoy even more the changes it will make in the appearance of your face and skin. At first, some people report feeling the pulsation more in certain areas or more on one side of their face than the other. They become concerned the system may not be operating correctly. Again, assuming you are using enough gel, this is not unusual with one side of the face being more sensitive than the other in many people. A person can increase the pulsation level in these areas to produce a sensation on the less sensitive side, which will also help assure you that the facial cushion in this area is actually touching the face. If both cushions are touching properly, continued use of the system will produce a balance in the sensation. Occasionally, the contact areas on the mask may have to be adjusted slightly in order to have them touch the face. Facial zones 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the grounding areas are designed to allow for custom adjustment of the mask. To extend these areas to bring them closer to the face, hold the base of the contact cushion and rotate the top in a counterclockwise direction. Put gel on the area that you have adjusted and put the mask into position on the face. Turn the control unit to the on position and press and hold the test button on the control unit to advance the system you are adjusting. Increase the intensity of the control knob as necessary to determine if the facial cushion is now making contact with your face, and you can feel the pulsation from the control unit. Refer to the written instruction sheet for other special notes about the operation of your Rejuvenique system. While you can relax and enjoy Rejuvenique in a variety of settings, never immerse it in water or rinse it under the tap. Doing so will damage the system. For optimal results, use Rejuvenique on a regular, consistent basis for 90 days. To maintain benefits after 90 days of initial regular use, it is recommended to use the mask weekly. A special note, individuals with the following conditions should consult with their physician before using the system. Have a heart pacemaker, are pregnant, have a history of epilepsy or seizures, have active skin cancer of the face. Thank you.
Well, as you saw, the Rejuvenique system is very easy to assemble and operate. So give your face a treat. The sooner you get started, the sooner you'll be enjoying results like the ones I've seen and many others have experienced. The kinds of changes that will allow you to feel a whole lot better about yourself, especially when you're looking in that mirror.
This is the Juice Man Juice Extractor Operations Guide. Coming up, you'll see assembly and disassembly, produce cleaning, a juicing demonstration, cleaning the machine, and product information.
I'm Jay Cordich, the Juice Man. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your purchase of what I believe to be the very best juicer on the market today. I hope you're excited about making fresh juices in your own kitchen. It's the only way to optimal health. This tape is your video instruction manual. We'll take you through the assembling of the juicer, the cleansing of the juicer, and I'll also give you along the way a lot of tips and suggestions on how to operate your Juice Man juicer properly. Now, the first thing I want you to do is to read your instruction manual, and I want you to read it thoroughly. I want you to take the instruction manual and reread it several times so you'll know absolutely everything there is to know on how to operate. It's a very comprehensive and in detail with recipes and all kinds of guidelines. Now, what I want you to do, and I want to stress this, before you use your juicer, thoroughly rinse and wash each and every part. I would like to also have you never wipe the pieces off with a washcloth or a dish towel, because sure as shooting you're going to have a few little fragments in there, as like I mentioned at the seminar, and they'll roll right into your juice and maybe lodge themselves in your stomach or the intestines or whatever, and you'll have a lot of problems down the line. When you put the juicer back, there are 4 little mounds on the motor mount, and they fit in these 4 holes on the bottom of the spout section. And always line your spout where it says Juice Man, facing forward. Now, the second piece that you rinse off, we'll show you how to rinse it in a minute. There's a little cutout right here that fits in the center piece with the chute away from the name Juice Man. This is the chute that goes into the receptacle, and that places just like you see it here. Now, there's a turntable that we have on here, and here's your straining basket. These are your cutter blades. This is your micro mesh screen that strains the pulp so the juice only comes through. All you do is place it over the drive shaft. Now, what I want you to do is notice right now, see how that teeter-totters? You must do something more than just this. What I want you to do is take your 5 fingers or bend your forefinger and put your thumb in opposite areas on that blade and just press down to seat the blades properly. Now just watch. See? I've just placed it in place. And always spin this to make sure if there's anything binding, then these other pieces haven't been correctly assembled. Now the cover itself fits with the smooth front end, and the chute goes out in the back end where the receptacle is going to fit under. So what you do is just place this on thusly. Very easily done. Now you have two side clamps. You lift them up and place them on top of their mounts. And then on the bottom, you snap them in place. All right? Now coming with the juicer, you'll notice inside, this is the plunger or pusher, if you will. A little tip, as you're pushing the food in, you advise your children if they're using it, and you yourself remember to take the food and push it just till it maybe enters this hopper unit. We call this opening a hopper, maybe a ½ inch deep. The rest of the way you push down with this plunger. Take a stalk of celery, the plunger the rest of the way. This juicer comes with a receptacle, a bucket, so to speak, and it tucks. If I can turn the juicer sideways, you'll get a good view. It merely tucks up under very loosely and snugly. A little word of advice. All these plastic bags that you see around at the supermarket produce stand on the rolls, I want you to accumulate and save as many of them as you can, because we made this receptacle and adapted it so it will fit a plastic bag into it. One other thing I want to stress, and that is the electrical outlet, the electrical cord. Now, one thing you must always remember when you're assembling the machine or dismantling the machine, unplug the juicer. Take it out of its electrical socket for safety factor. Plug your machine in, then turn on the power. Now that's the way your machine should sound. Should there be any abnormal sound, turn the machine off immediately. Take the juicer apart and reassemble it correctly before turning it on. You know that we advocate homegrown, unsprayed, untainted soil produce. That's number one. Second best is certified grade A organic that you can buy from a health store or several markets now. They have them around the country. But we know that isn't feasible. We know these things aren't available, all the produce, year-round. And we know also that most everything that is commercially grown that the supermarket shelves stock are full of pesticides, sprays, insecticides, fungicides, etc. Now we must address that, and the easiest way to remove that is the way I'm going to show you now. There are a lot of products on the market, but this is the simplest, and you can do this in your own kitchen. First of all, I want you to take regular common table salt and 4 heaping tablespoons of table salt into a ½ sink full of the coldest water that'll come out of the faucet. Then I want you to stir it up till it totally dissolves. Now you know that salt will kill most fungus and bacteria, but that is not enough to remove all the pesticides and insecticides. Then I want you to take a lemon, cut it in half, and with your hand very simply squeeze the juice of a ½ lemon into that salt water solution. Salt water and lemon makes a diluted form of hydrochloric acid. Now, once you rinse all that salt water, lemon solution off, you have just removed 100% of the DDT, the arsenic, the cyanide, the parathine and malathion, which are phosphorus nerve gas pesticides. You see how easy it is to remove the poisonous surface sprays from your produce? Now you turn the machine on, and you'll immediately notice the separation. In a split second, the food shoots right to the back and the juice comes through that screen in a ½ of a turn. Now you'll notice how I do this. Okay? Very simply done. Here's the fiber shooting out in a ½ a turn. Now, as I said early on, here's your plunger. You let the plunger do the work for you. Now, if you ever hear a noise like that, you immediately follow up with another carrot, you see, and that will put the thing in balance. Very simple for you. Then when you cut the apple, what I want you to do is quarter the apple. Sometimes if you get a small apple, you can cut it down the middle and put a half at a time, but most apples are fairly good size, so you quarter them. Sometimes, if they are large, you might have to cut them in sixths, you see. I do want to show you something very special with our machine. It's quite unique. And you'll notice, here is the pulp as it's ejected out the back end, and you'll notice it's kind of semi-wet because of the immediacy of the pulp ejection within a half of a turn. But every fiber is like little pieces of dry hair and lint. Now something very special, and we designed it this way, that our machine will do, the fiber or the pulp or the skin, if you will, of an apple, should it be waxed with petroleum and paraffin, will come out practically whole. There's the skin, and here's the inside part, and if you will, you'll see little tooth marks where the blades, no matter how you put the apple skin in, will shave the meaty part to extract the juice out of it. So when you're doing these greens, what I want you to do is push them in, and since you are going to dilute them with carrot and celery, or carrot and celery and apple, or just carrot and apple, what I want you to do is to take a carrot and push the carrot over the greens and let that be your plunger. Then the juice of the carrot will wash that precious chlorophyll and B complex right through the straining basket. Can you see it now? This is exactly the way I want you to do your juicing of greens. So you use your plunger the last little bit. Now there comes your handful of parsley. And you're going to take your carrot and use that as your pusher. Now celery is quite simple. There's your celery with the leaves. And there's no need with our juicer to break and string these strings down, which are the most vital part of the celery anyway, with magnesium mineral and potassium mineral, and the sodium mineral lying in there, you see? Now this is your raw potassium broth, one of the finest drinks you'll ever put into your body. And it's just in about this proportion. Now notice that we have a full bag of pulp in the receptacle, and I'll show you this. Now, as the pulp is ejected, it packs up very loosely. Now let's say you wanted to do a little more juicing before you want to turn the machine off. Then take this pulp and smash it down, push it down so you can get a lot more juicing done, you see. When you do an orange, simply quarter it, and you'll see a different substance entirely come from this machine. It'll be very, very creamy. It'll be very white indeed, not orange looking or watery. And it'll be fiberless on top of it because of that straining basket, not allowing any of the pulp or the fiber to come through. But instead of having a 1% food value source, which is mostly sugar anyway, you literally have 100% of the food value. You want to cut the pineapple and the watermelon into a ring starting from the bottom end first. And with the watermelon now, it's from the vine end first. And you want to cut it in about a 1-inch ring, just the way I'm showing you here. And this rope that runs through the middle of that pineapple, it's just as dry as can be, but it's full of enzymes. So what I want to do now is show you how the pineapple is made into juice. Take your pineapples in little wedges and just shove them through. Always remember, all this produce that I'm doing is thoroughly washed, and we'll show you how to do that in this tape. Very simple. And you'll notice the machine does not bog down. So this is what you do. You take the watermelon and cut it up in strips in actuality so it'll fit through the hopper, through the opening. And that's what we're going to do right now. And if you remember and you read and you get the paraphernalia from our office, you'll realize how powerful of an antioxidant and the powerful source of chlorophyll that lies, which is a biogenic, a healer, that lies in the watermelon green. And that's what we're going to do here. Very simply done. This way, you receive 100% of the food value. You're using the rind, the skin, you benefit from all the chlorophyll, the potassium, the zinc, the magnesium, one of the greatest thirst quenchers known to man, and also a very fine diuretic. Now, I want to go into the cleaning of the juice machine. And the first thing I want you to do, always, is to unplug the machine from the electrical outlet. All you have to do is take the plug out before you even take the juicer apart. Make sure you unplug the machine. Now you unclamp the side clamps, pick up the cover. Now you can also take the whole machine apart at one time, but what I want you to do after you make your juice is to pick up that cover and look in the back here. As the basket slides with force, the pulp up the side, and it hits the bottom of the cover with impact, the pulp slides around the side and blows to the back. And you have a buildup back here before the pulp drops into that receptacle. Now, I don't want you to rinse that down the drain pipes, because that's nothing but fiber and cellulose. So I want you to reach in and scoop this part out. There's a big bulky load of it here, and dump it back into the receptacle. And then what I want you to do, take a little bit of this that might be clinging and clear that out. Now you can take the rest of the machine, and when you pick it up, I want you to pick it up and hold it this way. Lift it up with a slight angle towards the back. If you pick it up with the spout facing downwards, this will get all over your floor or all over your shoes. You see that dripping? So keep it tilted to the back. First thing we're going to do is dump all the parts in the sink. Let the water go in the side of the basket. First thing you're going to do is just rinse very easily the plunger and the pusher. Place it over on the side. Now, I only hand wash the cover. I just take my hand and help get some of the pulp and some of the fibrous part out. And you don't have to be that fastidious. You just get in there and really give it just a nice quick rinse, the hopper, and what have you. That's simple. Then from the bottom, I want you to push the basket out. Now, this is the juice container where the juice comes through into your glass or cup. It's a conductor of the juices. Let the faucet spray, the force of the faucet, give it a rinsing. Just that simple. Now here's the other part of the juicer duct. Very quickly, the force of the faucet rinses all the particles off. Then you take your vegetable brush. Now here's your screen, your micro mesh screen, and you do a few swipes inside, just like I'm doing here. And then you come and you rotate the screen with your hand. Get yourself a nice bristle brush, something similar to this, a vegetable brush with nylon or plastic bristles. Rotate this in your hand, and the head of this brush fits right into this opening where the screen is. And you do the rotation, maybe 1.5 to 2 rotations around, always letting the water run it, and that will rinse out all these little particles. And she's done. That took about a minute. No more than 1.5 minutes. That's how easy it is to clean the juicer after you used it all day long. These are the parts that I just rinsed out. The first piece that you put on is the spout part. And it's going to fit, of course, with the name, the spout facing the name. Then the second piece, of course, with that little cutout, which I showed you early on, it drops right in this opening with the chute coming in the back receptacle. Now, you notice all these pieces are wet. I did not take the time to dry them. I don't want you to do that. I want you to air dry them. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Now, here's your straining basket. It's a one-piece cartridge with the blades. You drop them in position, and then take your fingers, your thumb and your forefinger crooked, and just seat it down. Put it down and spin it, like I mentioned, to make sure that it's in the proper position and nothing's binding. And here's the cover. Drops back on. Take your locking clamps, bring them up, and snap them down. And there is your plunger. Now, here's what I mean by air dry. Just turn the machine on and let the air spin whatever drippings there are out there. It'll dry it all off. If it's necessary to wipe the outside, then very simply take a little towel, paper towel, or a little dish towel or anything like that you have handy, and kind of wipe the outside. But you'll notice the little beads of water on the inside. I never chanced the fact that you could get a piece of lint. I have to stress that to you. I hope that this tape has answered most of your questions on the operation of the Juice Man juicer. We want to make juicing as easy as possible, and we try to guide you step by step on how to do this on a daily basis. It's so simple. You know, knowledge is only, and information is only part of the answer. You must apply this information. You must use it on a daily basis. And if you do, you're going to reap great benefits from this. I want you to experience the power of these raw juices and the enzymes they contain. And you know, there's a choice, sickness or health. I mean, it's your choice. You've got the vehicle to do it with. And what I want you to do, I want you to do it, like I said, many times a day. And remember the leafy greens. I cannot stress that enough. All life on this planet emanates from the greens of the plant, so use them. Now, I want to wish you good luck, health and happiness. It's all up to you.
We offer a complete line of nutritional products and educational materials. To receive our latest product information, call toll-free 1-800-800-8455 or write to The Juice Man, 655 South Orcas, Suite 220, Seattle, Washington, 98108.
Alert your family.
Due to the violent, unpredictable nature of individuals in today's society, it must be understood that the methods shown and the products used for self-defense in this video may not work in a given situation. It is the viewer's responsibility to comply with all laws in connection with the use of these products, and it is advisable to keep children and animals away from all of the products. The pepper sprays offered by Help Fight Crime America are extremely powerful police-strength sprays. Their use for any purpose other than self-defense may be considered a crime. The use of pepper sprays is not recommended against individuals carrying guns, knives, or other lethal weapons. These sprays must fully engulf the eyes, nose, and mouth of the attacker for full effectiveness. Remember to immediately vacate the area where you have sprayed the pepper spray, or otherwise protect yourself from the fumes. The physical response to these sprays varies from individual to individual. Viewers should be further advised that continuous exposure to the sirens on the car alarm and the home personal alarms will cause serious hearing impairment. Let it be understood that the viewer fully indemnifies Help Fight Crime America and any of its representatives against any and all liability or injuries received from the use of the information or products in this video. Viewer further indemnifies Help Fight Crime America or any of its representatives for any special, indirect, incidental, or consequential damages, including but not limited to the loss of life, limb, personal or business income, physical damages, or any other losses, whether or not foreseeable. Help Fight Crime America will replace any defective product that is still within its warranty period, free of charge.
You are about to experience an excerpt of a dynamic crime prevention seminar. A seminar that is highly recommended by the police and is used to train the staffs of companies such as DuPont, Arco, Prudential, Comcast, Core States Bank, and hundreds of others. Upon the completion of this video program, if you would like this training for your group or company, inform our representative and we will schedule a program for you.
Before we begin this training, I'd like to give you some background as to how we started. Most companies that you see do these types of seminars will go into a company or a group, and there'll be like a police officer or a security person standing behind a podium and explaining what a person should do during a certain crime. There's really nothing wrong with that until the moment of the crisis when that person has to sit there and say, what did this guy tell me to do? I don't remember. Well, rather than have to learn fancy plans and all kinds of karate moves and jiu-jitsu moves and so on, what we're going to attempt to do today is to teach you pre-planning. The way this was developed is we actually hired hundreds of ex-cons, and their job was to go before actual families and sit with them in their home, at the ATM machines, subway cars, parking lots, and actually attack them. Now, that may sound a little strange. Of course, these families were volunteers. But what we did was we let the family deal with the criminal without rules, meaning that the criminal did whatever he really used to do. The ex-con did whatever he used to do, and the family reacted as they thought was appropriate. The problem with that is that a lot of it looked like television. You saw the ex-con knowing what they would do because they grew up learning from the television set, and they thought they knew what to do, but in reality, when you'll see this on film, you'll see that most of us react improperly. So during this film, what we're going to do is let you watch different scenes going down. We'll stop the film at certain points, and when the film fades to black, your role at that point is to holler out your answer and give what you think should be appropriate, and then the film will come back up, and we'll show you the responses, both improper, proper, and so on. Also during the film, we'll be showing you the use of different products that are available in the stores, in the gun stores, how they work, how they should be used, not used, and at the end of the video, you'll be shown in detail by myself more about each of these products so that if you do want to get them either from us or from the stores, you'll at least know how to use them and so on. So again, when the film fades to black, make sure that you holler out your answer, and then the film will come back up and show you what to do. So let's have some fun and begin here.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Everyone is asleep on the second floor.
Honey, wake up. Did you hear that?
What? Leave me alone. We're always hearing things. Oh, I heard that. I'll get Kathy in here. Hurry up and call the cops.
What's wrong, Daddy? Where are we going?
Stay in here with Mommy.
Adam, the phone is dead.
I'll be right back.
No, Adam!
Mommy, I'm scared.
Can you name the 4 things they did wrong? Now let's see how fast you can answer these 4 questions about fire. As soon as you know the answer, shout it out. If you have a grease fire, do you throw water on it? Did you say no? If you have a hot door, do you open it? Did you say no? Do you walk or crawl through smoke? Did you say crawl? If someone catches on fire, throw them down, stop, drop, and... Did you say roll? Why could you answer all of these questions about fire so quickly? And did you notice that everyone agreed? Yet in one of the most common crimes, a house break-in, everyone has different opinions? Because you have been trained about fire since you were a child. No one seems to be training us about crime, yet the likelihood of you being a victim of a violent crime within your lifetime is 80%. That means 8 out of 10 of you who are watching this video right now will probably be faced with violence. That is unacceptable in itself, but to have no idea how to respond is even worse.
I had noticed him right across the street. Now, I guess he tried pretend like he didn't see me type thing, and I was hoping that he didn't see me. So I walked over. I looked behind me and I didn't see anybody. So I'd walked 2 blocks over and then crossed over. I tried making as much of a zigzag as possible. Next thing you know, he's right behind me, and I didn't even notice. I turned around this way, and then when he came over that way, he had pulled me over and threw me against the wall.
One of the things I've been asked over the years by people is about self-defense courses and self-defense overall. And I've never really felt qualified to teach it to begin with, but it is necessary at certain times. So rather than me trying to tell you myself about it, I've asked a black belt onto our video here, and I'll introduce you to him. His name is Danny Miller. And Danny, rather than me get into a lot of information about you, why don't you just give a little of your own background?
Well, I started, had an interest as a youngster in the martial arts, and started probably when I was 17 or 18, started studying formally the martial arts, and have taught at various levels and hold minor degrees in several different styles of arts, and I hold a 3rd-degree black belt in 2 arts.
What does a person do, for instance, if they're actually attacked?
Well, one of the things that I found, Don, with the teaching self-defense classes, that we would teach, say, an 8 or a 12-week course, and from the following week they would forget what they learned the previous week. And in a moment of crisis, people forget what they learn, and they revert back to what their mind tells them that they learned a long time ago.
There's a gentleman on TV, on public broadcasting, that tells you walk around with money in your pocket and make it available. So that if somebody comes up to you and they ask you for money, just show them the money, flip it one way, run the other quickly. That works, and it's a very effective thing. The guy doesn't care about your money. He's not interested. He's interested in you, and he's right in your face, and he's grabbed a hold of you. Maybe he's got a gun or a knife. I understand this is difficult in a short period on a film as to what to do, but perhaps you could demonstrate to me, you know, don't kill me now, okay, with 2 or 3 perhaps things that a typical person grab from the rear, grab from the front, distance. Maybe you can just give some insight to the audience in that regard. All right, so I'm this big, mean, ugly dude, and you're just a little creep, and I'm interested in taking you into the car. So I walk up to you, I grab you by the chest.
Yo! There's a lot of things available.
Tell me to be calm now. Go ahead.
It's tough in a situation for the normal person to remain calm, but you have to think what's available to you. You've got the eyes, you've got the nose, you've got the throat, you've got the ears, anything that's available. You've got the testicles because of...
Don't mess with the jewels in
because
here.
of the front of facing to you. But you want to make sure if he's going to be pulling you in close, and if your hands are free, you have all things, again, biting, kicking, scratching, all those things are fair game. So you can pop the ears, you can drive the nose, you got his hair, you've got his throat, you can drive into the throat. All of those things are available to you.
Does it matter where on the throat?
Adam's apple. If you ever thumped yourself in the Adam's apple, that's where you want to go. You want to crush the voice box.
Okay.
And again, it's all fair game.
All right, how about if I grab you? Let's turn around here.
Okay.
Okay. So now I grab you from the rear.
From the rear.
A guy comes up from behind you and grabs you, let's just say grabs you around like this, and he's got you hard. Okay, now I'm not being nice to you.
Right.
All right?
I'm
screaming at you. Get the money, lady. Come on, lady, let's go.
You're gonna want it. You want to make sure you're protecting your throat because he's gonna be squeezing. He's gonna be squeezing tight. He's going to throw you. You got to scrape and a stomp down the shins with the heel, down the shins and on top of the foot. You teach that in your seminar. The top of the foot is like the bones in your hand. Doesn't take a lot of pressure to do that. So when you grab here, you've got the you're gaining your air. You've got to scrape and stomp down in the foot. If you can turn into him, to where you've got his throat, you can squeeze his Adam's apple. Again, you've got his hair, you've got his ear, you know, whatever's available to you, because you're not going to remember all the moves that you've been taught, you know, when your adrenaline starts pumping.
How about if he starts with me 5 feet back? Okay, so now we're much further out of the scene, and he's not in my face. What do you recommend we do?
Okay, again, if you have the ability to flee, you want to flee. Because you're not going to have the strength or the knowledge to handle the attacker. If he's 5 feet away, you want to get in an unopposing defensive posture, something where you're going to be able to defend yourself, but yet not seem threatening to him. Smile at him. That's you know, he's not going to be expecting that. Again, remaining calm and when your adrenaline is flowing is really tough to do. But being in a position where you can defend yourself without being threatening to him. You don't want to make a threatening move to where he's going to initiate the attack.
Okay, let's do this. You're a 110-pound female, and I'm a 220-pound guy, and you were in that position. Go back into that position you just in, and now you're coming after me. What would you do with this hand?
With his hand here, again, if he's going to try and strike me,
here I come. I'm about to do this.
You're going to want to defend yourself as much as you can. Then you're going to go to the eyes. If you have your pepper spray in your pocket, you're going to block and spray.
It's tasty lunch.
Yes. You know, but again, you have to have that spray ready. If it's not in your hand,
it's not in the hand. It's in the purse. The woman forgot to put it where it belongs.
Okay.
The fist comes.
You're going to drive up here, drive to the nose, to the eyes, to the throat.
Whatever you can.
Whatever's available.
And then bolt.
Take off.
People ask me, what if this guy throws me in a car? And, you know, I've got to deal with this carjacking. I've actually been thrown into the vehicle. He's overpowered me, whatever. You know, it's nice to say you should, you know, jump out of the car. A lot of people think that. Well, I'd like you to think about something sort of funny about the past. Perhaps you did it last week. Perhaps you did it when you were 7 years old. You know, you were maybe on a long trip and you put your hand out the window and you felt the wind against your hand, and then all of a sudden you turned it sideways and you're flying your hand all around the outside of the car when your car is going 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. Well, you felt the resistance when you turned your hand this way very strongly against the wind. So if you think you're going to open up this car door, which is basically a large sail going 40 miles an hour, open up the car door into the wind and jump out, it's not going to happen. So what, in fact, do you do? Well, if you have a pepper spray, especially if you have a fog type, which puts out a gas very quickly, if you have a pepper spray and the guy's got you in the seat of the car, you know, offer him money, just like you're going into your bag and say, listen, let me give you some money. And even if you don't want to take it out because you're afraid he may see it, just set it off inside your bag. Now what this is doing is it's filling that car up almost instantly with a gas. Obviously you'll be overcome, so don't get in that position. And by the way, don't do this when you're going 40 miles an hour. Try to do it when the car is really slow or stopped. So you've reached in, you set it off, but before you set it off, you know what you're going to do. Hold your breath, close your eyes, and shoot it. Within a second or so, the whole inside of the car is filled up with a gas. What occurs here very simply is he's overcome, his eyes slam shut for a good 30 to 40 minutes. He's not really going to be able to do anything. And at that point, you can get out of the car. Hold your breath, close your eyes. Remember that. If you're not able to do that, then think about this. If he gets you to the other location, to the secondary location where he wants to take you and attack you or hurt you or kill you or whatever, and you know that if you get in that car, close to 99% of the people ever actually put in a car never live to talk about it, you need to do something. So if you're a last resort, why not just at an opportune moment when the car's going 30, 40 miles an hour, plant your feet firmly on the ground and lunge towards the steering wheel and yank it down for your dear life. Because what you're doing by yanking it down is you're causing the car to veer off in this direction quickly. Centrifugal force is throwing his body against the wall. You, of course, don't do this into a 16-wheeler. Try to hit into trash cans, into, over something that you can hit a wall. In other words, somewhere where you can cause the car to have an accident and hopefully not get killed at the same time. You're walking down the street and you need to use your pepper spray. We've talked about being prepared, not being surprised. The problem with most people is they really don't know how to use a pepper spray. In fact, you may have seen on 2020 years ago, they had 12 women come out of a supermarket, and they were told that between the supermarket and their car that they were going to be attacked. Well, literally, all 12 women were told this. They all had 4 attempts to use their spray and get it in the guy's eyes, and that's a total of 48 attempts. Not one of them got it in the guy's face. And the reason is that most people take a spray, they come up and they use their right arm or their left arm, whichever hand they are, and they go right to the face. Well, the guy's obvious reaction is going to be to try to remove or push it out of the way. It's a natural reflex, especially this guy's used to fighting and you're coming towards his face with something. He's going to push it out of the way. So the best way to use it, first of all, let me show you the wrong way. And on this film, you're going to see, let's look at this woman now. She's bringing the spray up, and as she brings it up, because it's coming up into the guy's face, he's taking it, he's pushing her arm out of the way, and she's now not able to use the spray. If she had done the same thing properly, she would have decoyed, as you'll see here, she would have decoyed with the opposite hand. He goes after that, and immediately the spray comes right up the center of the body, like this, right up the guy's nose. So even if the guy's wearing glasses or whatever, what he's done, what she's done is she's enabled herself to decoy with the one hand, using the spray coming up on the other, and she got the guy. That's the way a spray should be used.
Did you know that tear gas has no effect on criminals that are high, drunk, or psychotic? How likely do you think you are to actually engulf someone's whole face with this thin stream, especially outside in the wind? Take a look at how this police-strength street fogger works. This is an actual fogger in action. You can instantly stop more than one person by fogging them with this wide-angled fogger and running. The fog slams their eyes shut for about 20 to 30 minutes, causes them to gasp for air, plus it identifies them with an invisible ultraviolet dye that lasts for days after the crime.
It was pretty unbearable. I mean, it felt like both my eyes were being, seared with hot irons, like red-hot irons. It was really, really painful. I couldn't breathe. My nose was running. All the mucus was coming out. I tried to open my eyes a couple times, and I mean, as soon as I just barely got them open, the pain was intolerable. The most important thing to me was getting it off. I just never thought it could be that bad. And I mean, if I was really trying to get the person who sprayed me, I wouldn't, that became irrelevant very quickly.
What is the safest way to carry a purse? If you put it on your shoulder and across your chest and it is grabbed, you may get dragged to the ground while he is wrestling it away from you. Remember, he is willing to hurt you to get what he wants. Just hanging from your shoulder makes it an easy target. If it is out of sight under an outer garment, he is more likely just to grab someone else's purse, since yours is hard to grab and run with. If your purse is snatched, is there a way to get it back? Yes, with a personal alarm attached to the bag.
Okay, let's look at ATM machines. Let's watch this woman use an ATM. Is this you walking up to the ATM machine? You put your purse down, and you're looking for your card, and you finally find it, and you take your card and you plug it in. And then, of course, you put your PIN number in, and you choose which account, and you choose how much money. And the whole time that you're doing all this, you're looking at the machine with your back to a possible attacker. Well, what he's doing is he's watching you this whole time, positioning himself, and now watch what she does as she finally hears the money coming out of the machine, meaning that she's done her transaction. See how she turns to look? Well, why doesn't she just put a little blue light special on her head and say, hey, come get me. You know, the money's here. Come get me now. So what she's done wrong is she's always kept her back to the guy. And at the last moment when the money was actually coming out, she turned around to look, giving him the signal to come now and attack her. Well, had she done this properly, what you should have done is when you walk up to the machine, obviously don't use an outdoor machine if you can avoid it. And most of the time you can, just don't be lazy. Go to an inside of a store. But if you absolutely can't, take your card, and the second that card is sucked into the machine, instead of standing there looking at the machine, turn around with an attitude and keep your eyes out. For a moment, turn around, put your numbers back in the machine, turn back around. Keep your eyes on the behind you instead of in front of you. This way the guy never really has a chance to come up on you unexpectedly. The last minute when the money's coming out, he hasn't had that chance to come up upon you. And frankly, it takes an average person 2 to 2.5 minutes to do a transaction, and he will sit there and, trust me, he will wait for another person to stand there and give him the signal. So that's how to use an ATM most appropriately.
If you're walking to your car and a guy with a gun demands your keys, how can you get away safely and keep your car from being stolen? Immediately give him your keys and do whatever you have to do to break free and run. Put your door lock key on a separate ring with bogus keys. When he gets into the car, he won't be able to start it because he doesn't have the ignition key, your house keys, alarm keys, etc.
Okay, well, what happens if the guy comes up to you at a light? Since, let's say you're driving and the guy comes up to you at a light and out of the blue, he comes up to you, he's got a gun pointed in your face, and he's screaming at you to get out of the car. Well, if you get out of the car, it's possible that he could push you back in the car. If you're fortunate, he drags you and throws you out, but again, you got the kids, and this time your key's in the ignition. So I'm just going to give you some simple advice. A guy comes up to you at any time, anywhere around the car, and you're feeling threatened, floor it. Now, you may think from television, well, he's just going to shoot me. Well, he might shoot you. But let me tell you something that you probably never heard. A trained police officer who is constantly on the range learning how to shoot, literally in a real street battle with guns, if he shoots 4 shots at a criminal in an actual street scene, and the guy is 10 feet away from him, these are real statistics, 3 out of the 4 shots that trained police officer shoots misses his target. Now that's a guy right in front of him, basically standing still or just moving a little bit, and here you are in a car, suddenly flooring it and taking off. The chances of this guy actually even getting to hit the car anywhere are not very great, let alone getting it exactly where you are. And even if he were to get you, the chances of him actually shooting you through some kind of a vital organ are very, very slight. Bottom line is this. Guy comes up to your car, floor it. Just get yourself, if you got to run over a mailbox, do it, but get yourself out of the scene. When it comes to keeping your car from being stolen, let me illustrate a point by using you as the audience. Everyone in the room, if you would stand up. Come on, everybody get up and stand up together now. Okay, everybody up? Okay. Now, I want you to think about the past. Remember, I'm not asking you about what you think you should do, or you will do, or you ought to do, or you think you might do, but what I'm asking you now is about what you did in the past. You were walking out of a mall. You were in town. You were at a ball game. You were at the movies. And out of the blue, you know, you hear a car alarm ringing. Now, if you were the person, and remember I'm asking you about the past, and by the way, we're not talking about in your home or on your block or on your street or in your apartment complex or whatever. I'm asking you about away from your home. When you heard the car alarm go off, if you were the person who immediately turned, looked, went over and walked up to the person and said, hey, is this your car? Can you prove to me this is your car? Or you were a little nicer about it and you said, are you having a problem with your alarm here? Perhaps I can help you out. In other words, either of those is a confrontation. If you were the person who went up and confronted the individual, or you were the person who immediately picked up your cell phone in your car when you heard the alarm go off, or you ran to the security at the mall, or you went to a payphone, or you ran into one of the stores and you said, hey, this guy out here is stealing a car. So here's the question all at once, and everybody keep standing until I ask you this. In the past, away from your home, you heard an alarm, a car alarm ringing. If you were the person who either immediately called the police or found a phone or a security guy, if you did that, or if you were the person who went up and confronted the guy, if you did either one of those two things, I want you to keep standing. If you did nothing, I want you to sit down now. Okay, so why did almost everybody or everyone sit down? Because car alarms are gone off all the time. So do car alarms really work? Well, sure, they really work, but because they're going off all the time, people don't pay attention to them, and besides, really, people don't want to be involved. They don't want to confront the guy. You know, they're afraid for their own safety. Well, in my car, I not only have a steering wheel locking device, but I also use an inside the car alarm. And the way this works is it literally mounts right on the steering wheel, and when you clamp it around the wheel and you turn the key on, what it's doing is it's actually got three things that happen right away. One, you have the blinking lights on the top, the two little lights on top. So this guy looks in your car, right away he's seeing there's some type of an alarm system. Two, when he gets in your car and sits down, when the unit goes off, this thing is so overpowering inside of a vehicle that he's not hanging around in there. So it's literally driving him by pain out of the car. At the same time that it's going off, there's a mini strobe. Now, I'm not talking about like a strobe like you would see in a nightclub. I'm talking about a mini strobe that's flashing in his eyes. So think again from the criminal's perspective. He's in your car. He's trying to get out of there. He hears this overwhelming alarm going off. He's got light blinking, like flashing, like, this is me, it's me, look at me. And everyone outside the car is seeing this flashing light also. He's not interested in being the star of the show here. So what you're doing is you're making it difficult, and you're driving him as best you can out of the car. And some people have said, well, why can't he just take a hammer and beat the garbage out of this thing? Well, he can. There's no such thing as an infallible car alarm. But I will tell you that as he hits it, even though it's tight on the wheel, it actually moves away by spinning backwards. It makes it very difficult to deal with this issue. The guy's not hanging in the car. It's not only overwhelming him in the car, but everyone around the car is hearing it also. So these are very, very effective devices.
It was a normal day at the office until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I got a call that my house had just been burglarized. I went to the house to find that the police were just finishing their duties there. What I did find out was that my neighbor across the street had gotten suspicious when she saw 3 guys at the front of the house, one of which went to the back of the house, came back, got the other 2, and all 3 went around back. So she became suspicious and called the police. The house was unoccupied at the time. I was at work, my wife was at work, and the kids were at school. Luckily, they were only in there for 5 minutes, so that not too much was stolen, but I quickly realized what the word ransack means, because it did not take very long. The police did catch one of the trio. The other two got away. Approximately, I'd say about 3 hours after that, I was talking with my neighbor because it bothered her that she saw 3 people go in the house, but only 2 come out the front door, which was visible to her. I explained to her that 2 came out the front and 1 came out the back, but it really bothered her. So I decided for my own peace of mind to search the house. I went to my son's room, which was at the furthest end of the house, and much to my amazement, the first closet door that I opened, there was another pair of eyes looking back at me.
How do burglars get into locked doors? Unfortunately, there is no real way to stop this except for barricading yourself into the house with steel bars, and even this is not always enough. How do burglars get into locked windows? Most of the time, they simply slip a putty knife between the window frames and slip the latch. If they can't get the knife in, then they pop a small hole with an ice pick in the glass and push the latch open. If you've ever seen a BB hit a piece of glass, you know it doesn't break it. It just pops a small hole in the glass and it's virtually silent. To fix this, you can drill a hole from the front frame partly into the back and insert a nail in the hole. If you want to sleep with your windows partly open, drill a second hole a few inches above the first, and your window can't be opened further without breaking it. How do burglars get into sliding glass doors? They simply take it out the same way you put it in, only they do it from the outside. They lift the door, which disengages the lock, and either push it into the house over the bottom track or slide it open. To fix this, put a nail through the track and into the sliding door. Or put wood above the door that slides. It's during the day and everyone is home. If you are suddenly attacked and your family members hear you and the criminal screaming, what should they do? Have a code that will alert your family as to what's going on. The person who is attacked would naturally be screaming. By making this scream your emergency code, everyone knows not to enter the scene and become a witness. Then that person should pretend to faint. In order to stop the criminal from any further action, someone should fog towards the area where you are being attacked. As soon as they hear the criminal's coughing, they know he also can't see, so they immediately get up and feel their way out of the house. If they can't make it before they have to take a breath, they will be coughing too.
Here's what the more experienced criminals really do when they're breaking in. They're not interested in having the police arrive in the midst of their crime. So what they literally do is right before the scene, let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning and they know that the break-in's at 2 o'clock. At 5 minutes of 2, one of them will pick up a phone or have an accomplice do this and call in a horrendous crime, a shooting, for instance, at let's say a 7-Eleven or a Wawa or something. And this scene that he's calling in is going to be 3 miles north of your house. So where do you think the cops are going immediately is to that scene at 5 minutes of 2. Well, at the same moment, no, not at the same moment, 2 minutes later, about 3 minutes of 2 in the morning, 2 miles, 3 miles south of your home, you've got another criminal or the accomplice who calls in another crime, this time, say, at an all-night bowling alley or something else where the police are going to have to respond. Well, when there's a shooting, where there's one of these bar brawls or one of these things where there's activity, when you're dealing with guns and so on, the police are going in this direction. Now, you're sitting here, you've got a break-in about to occur, which you don't even know yet, and the criminals have taken the police this direction, the criminals have taken the police in this direction, and then your break-in occurs. Well, this is a very, very common occurrence, and in fact, we have police officers that we work with a lot in our trainings, and they'll sit there every time I do a seminar and talk about this, and they're sitting there and shaking their head because it happens to them all the time. Well, just ask yourself a question. At 2 o'clock in the morning, how many cops are on in your town where you live? Ask yourself another question. When the crime, actually occurs, and the cops have gone this direction, and the cops have gone that direction, are you really prepared at that moment to take care of your family? Because you need to. You need to have a plan that'll work for you at that moment.
Honey, wake up. Did you hear that?
What? Leave me alone. I'm always hearing things. Oh, I heard that. I'll get Kathy in here. Hurry up and call the cops.
What's wrong, Daddy? Where are we going?
Stay in here with Mom.
Adam, the phone is dead.
I'll be right back.
No, Adam!
Mommy, I'm scared.
Shh, honey. Daddy will protect us.
Hey, put that down.
Now, what are the 4 things they did wrong? First of all, they had nothing to give them an early enough warning that someone was in their house. A barking dog is the best early warning device. Keep your dog away from the doors so he doesn't get shot if the guy comes in anyway. Why not lean a metal folding chair against the door at night? When the door opens, it falls with a loud bang. Or insert these ear-piercing alarms on your doors. No one will ever surprise you when these alarms are on your doors. This one has a delay timer, so if people come in after you go to sleep, they can let themselves in and turn off the alarm with their private code. The second thing they did wrong was being caught with a dead phone. Keep your cell phone or a phone on a separate line next to your bed every night. Since they're breaking in anyway, they simply take the phone off the hook and then immediately unplug the handset so you never hear the sounds. The third thing they did wrong was bring everyone into the master bedroom. The guy who is willing to come into your house while you are home is usually high, has a record, is willing to hurt you, and is looking for money and jewelry. He knows that most of it is usually in the master bedroom. In a 2-story house where everyone sleeps upstairs, get out of the master bedroom and bring everyone together into the slowest to rises room. Get out if you can. But if the criminals are still coming towards you and the police haven't arrived yet, shoot the home fogger down the steps. Immediately return to the slowest to rises room, close the door, put towels in the cracks to keep the fumes out, and stay by an open window to breathe fresh air. When the police arrive, toss them your keys so they can open the door and the house will air out in a matter of minutes. The home fogger will clamp their eyes shut for 20 to 30 minutes and force them to find their way out of your house. In a ranch or apartment, don't leave your room. Since you are on the same floor with the criminals, they could see you going across a hall to get everyone together. If the criminals are still in the house coming towards you, and the police haven't arrived yet, shoot the home fogger from your room toward the criminals. In a house where people sleep on the upper and lower levels, as in a Cape Cod or bi-level house, people in the most immediate danger are those on the first floor. If they are old enough, they should have a home fogger. If not, they should sleep with the doors closed in case someone shoots the home fogger. The fourth thing they did wrong was going to investigate the noise. If you hear a noise or your alarm starts ringing, never go down to investigate or shut off your alarm. Why should the father never have gone down the stairs? What are the 3 things he didn't know? He didn't know how many criminals there were. He didn't know where they were. He didn't know if they were armed. Bottom line, never confront a criminal.
Now let's look at this from the criminal's perspective. He comes to your house, he hears your dog barking, he hears your alarm go off, he sees your chair fall or hears your chair fall, whatever it is. If he's willing to come into the house anyway, what are the 3 things that he doesn't know about your family? Well, he knew that the police may have been called. He knew the family was awakened, and if you have a loud enough alarm or dog, that the neighbors, may have called the police. But the 3 things he didn't know about your family were he didn't know how many of you were home, he didn't know where you were, and he didn't know how you were armed. So it's best to have something to alert you immediately if somebody comes in so that your plan is immediately put in place. I hope you've learned a lot from this training. As you can see from all the discussion and the shots that we've shown you of actual scenes, and pre-planning is key. Pre-planning is key. I can't say that enough times. You really need to take the time to show this video to your entire family and share it with your friends. The point being that with a plan you have an opportunity to really not outsmart the criminal, but outthink him ahead of time so that his plan doesn't go down real well. At this point, I'd like to help you to decide which security products that I've shown you, again, whether you get them from us or you get them from the store, would work best in your instances. Because most people say, well, what do I need, or how many of this or how many of that? So let me work with you now and try to help you through that portion. As I described to you each product, what I'd like you to do with the forms that you have is I'd like you to take your form and fill in the number or the quantity of what you need. Now again, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily getting it right this moment, but you see what happens with us many times is a person will watch this film or they'll see us at a seminar and they decide this is a good idea and they say, you know what, I'm going to go home, I'm going to talk to my husband, my wife, and they go and they think about it. Well, the truth is, and I know this from the thousands of seminars that I've done, is that most people go home and they don't want to think about this isn't fun, so they forget about it. And then 6 months or a year and a half later, their neighbor gets, their house robbed or something happens, and all of a sudden, they immediately want to get some protection, and they remember who we are, and they get their forms out, and they call us. Well, that's fine, except what we do on the phone is we go over the same thing. We reiterate the same things that we're doing now. So if you could take your form, and where it says quantity next to each item, as I go through each item, just put the quantity that you think you need. And if that quantity is 0, then just obviously put a 0. The point is that if you want to get it today, that's fine, you'll know what you need. And if you want to get it in the future and you call us in the future, you'll have professionally been told how many of each item you should have. So let's do that together now as I go through. Each time I ask you to fill it in, just put your number in, and at the end, what we'll do is collect your form, add it up for you. If there's an appropriate discount, you'll be given that discount, and then you decide whether or not you'd like to take make the order with us today. Okay, let's start with the house alarms. If you already have an alarm on your house, that means you have a dog. That means that the chair will work for you appropriately. Your dog will bark and wake you up. Whatever it is that you have, then obviously the alarms are not a crucial issue for you. Unless, of course, you wanted to use them for hotel rooms if you travel, or you wanted to use the one on the purse like you saw. If you need to get alarms, here's how to decide how many you need. If you're taking this video home, you've already seen how to protect your sliding door, so you don't need to alarm that door. Think about this. If the guy opens up the door, by throwing a rock through it because you forced him to have to break the glass, that's an alarm. Your windows, we've shown you how to secure your windows. So really what you're dealing with are outside doors that you won't hear somebody come through if they come in the evening. And it's very quiet to get into doors, as you basically have seen. So if you have 3 outside doors, one of them is a sliding door, and you feel comfortable or you want to take this film home and have somebody else take care of that door for you, Then those 2 outside doors, if they're not alarmed, then on your form, write a 2 on the block where it says home personal alarm. If you don't need an alarm, then just put a 0 in that block now. Please do that now so that we can go on. If you're in a situation where people come home after you go to bed, for instance, second shift workers or college kids that come in at 2, 3 in the morning, you would need a protect all alarm so that they have time to open the door, turn around, push the buttons in on the alarm, and shut it off so you don't have to come down and wake up and let them in. So if that's something that would be appropriate for you, please put that down on the order form now. Here's how to determine how many home foggers you need. One of the things that people, they don't really think about is, they're right away saying, oh, I need one of these for my bedroom. It's better than shooting the guy or being stuck up here or having him come upstairs. That's all understood, and it's pretty obvious that most people need one. What the problem is that you never know when the guy's going to come in, whether it be day or night, and if he does and you can't get to the fogger that's in your bedroom, for instance, if you were in the living room and your fogger's upstairs, or you're in a ranch or an apartment and it's all the way down in the bedroom, the guy comes in and he's basically right in the room with you or right in your space. You can't tell the guy, oh, excuse me, I'll be right back. I've got to go to the bathroom. At that point, you need to have something available to you. So if you're, let's say, in a 2-story home and you've got the unit upstairs in your bedroom, that's fine. But the second unit would be in an area where you're spending a lot of time, like your living room or your den. If your basement is all junk and storage and laundry, you wouldn't need one down there. But if your basement is used as a family room, and the family's down there and you're in the living room, you use the kitchen a lot, and your bedrooms are upstairs, then that would be 3 for you. My own home, I live in a ranch. One end is my living room and kitchen. All the way down, long down the hall is the bedrooms, and my office is in my basement. So if somebody came into my home and I'm down in the basement, and somebody's upstairs and I want to help them, I could help them if it's downstairs, but if I don't have one downstairs, I can't. So just think through your situation. Don't get crazy. You don't need one in every area, every room of the house. But the thing is, if somebody came in, can you get to your fogger before he can get to you? And if not, then you need a fogger in that area. So again, please take the time where it says home fogger to put the number of home foggers that you need on your form in the quantity block now. The street foggers are really easy to determine. I like to think of it this way. How many people in your immediate family, your best friends, your grandmother, your aunt, your uncle, whatever it might be, how many people do you really want to have walk on the street without one of these foggers? They're so much easier to use because of the wide angle that they spray. We've taught you enough how to use them. They're effective. You do know, of course, from the paperwork we've given you that if you do use them, either the home fogger or the street fogger in an actual crime, we will replace them for free. So on your paperwork, next to where it says street fogger, please put the appropriate quantity that you think you need at this time. Let's talk now about the car alarm. When we talk to real criminals about the alarms, we heard over and over and over that they hate the alarms that ring inside the car. And the reason for that is they get in the car and the thing overwhelms them. We're not talking about mild pain here. We're talking about most people can't stay in this area with this much noise for more than 5 to 10 seconds. So by having the layers of protection like we talked about, the steering wheel, locking device, one of these loud alarms on your steering wheel, very, very effective for you to use one like that. Sometimes people say to me, well, I've got an 8-year-old car. In fact, they joke with me and say, I put a sign on top of my car, keys and ignition, please steal me. Well, that's sort of funny, but when you think about it, with a guy that has an 8-year-old car or a 4-year-old or 5-year-old car, if that car is stolen, in most cases it's been paid off. And if it's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, most people don't carry insurance if the car is stolen. They have to have liability in most cases, but they don't have insurance if the car is stolen. So if you're in a position where you've got a little bit of an older car and that car is actually taken, reality is if it goes, you went from no payments to, well, I don't have any money in most cases to go buy a new car, and the insurance, even if you have it, gives you very little. So you're not given very much to go buy a new car, and you wind up having to get yourself a new car, going into your bank account, getting money out, putting down money, and then getting these big payments, all because your car was stolen. What we like most, besides the fact that the thieves just keep telling us they hate these alarms because they can't stand them in the car, is the fact that it's a one-time investment, and it's a very minimal investment for one of these alarms. You don't have to go and get a new one every time you get a car. It just moves from car to car. So where it says car alarm on your form, it would be appropriate at this point to put in the quantity section the number of car alarms. In other words, how many cars do you have that you want one for? Put the number on your order form now. If you think you've learned a lot from today's training, I strongly recommend that you use the Reality Check Planner with your family. The video that you've just watched and that you're watching now really should be taken home. It's difficult to remember all the things that you saw. I recommend to everyone that they purchase this video and don't keep it. Give it away, whether it be as a gift, share it with your family. We have a program in our company where you can actually have us come out and do, I'll just call it a Crime Stopper party, where you can have a group of people and we'll come and show this video to a group of people at your home or at your business. So I do recommend everyone that has seen this film and feels that they've learned a lot, make sure your family gets the same level of education. I strongly do recommend that you pick up a copy of this film. And if you would put that on your order form at this point, if you want one, put a 1 or a 2 or 3 for gifts, and if you don't want one, put a 0. Please put that on your form now. My hope and my prayer is that you'll never need to use any of this information. Unfortunately, most of us will. It's unfortunate that most of us in our lifetime not only will need the information, but also some type of product to protect ourselves. Again, these items are available through us, they're available through the stores, and I really do hope that you not only pick up a copy of this film, but also that some of the products, at least to take care of yourselves. At this point, I'd like to just close with this. We have been blessed to be able to have this business, and people take for granted what they've been given, and I just want to give the Lord an opportunity to give the Lord here some real credit. When we started this business, we were flat broke, and what has occurred, we have been in the largest companies in the United States now training this program, and I hope by being able to bring this to you on film that we will be able to continue to make a difference in people's lives. So again, I just want to thank the Lord for the opportunity to be here and do this program with you, and just give him the credit that he deserves. Thank you for watching.
Long live Gloomtube.